Utah University, Utah Shakespeare Festival, Utah Summer Games, and the most famous of all, Lighthouse in the Desert. Mayor, I need to ask you to make sure that they pay that bill, the white light bill, because that lighthouse been off for, I don't know, 4 years. That's the beacon for me and most of the travelers coming south. So when I see that, I know that I'm home. We're going to start our meeting by recognizing our mayor, of course, that he's going to be addressing us soon. But today, the happy Friday, I call this meeting to order. I've asked Commissioner Law to lead us the Pledge of Allegiance. Please all rise.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you who missed the meeting or were not fortunate enough to join us, I may add, you missed a lot. We started the meeting in the morning, of course, with the brisk walk to Cold Creek Canyon. It was a beautiful day, beautiful setting. This is the place that our own Cameron Gay proposed to his wife a long time ago, where the Chris Hall lived in a house nearby. We also had to witness a majestic waterfall. Sean Adana told us to watch for it. And she also instructed us to go all the way to the end of the trail, touch the pole for the good luck. So we did all this stuff. On the way back, we had opportunity, of course, to have a staff meeting. Terry and the region director addressed us about the projects coming up with the Cedar City and Southern Utah and all the other future projects. After that, we had a delicious lunch, which was in this beautiful hall, and it was classy. Thank you, Donna. Very classy. After that, of course, we had opportunity to go on a tour. Beautiful setting of the Cedar City and the surrounding area. It was really majestic under the rain. It was cool. It was green. And all those people participated, and Region 4, thank you, Monty, and your team informed us about the common projects and projects already been done for the community. Thank you for that. And of course, we had another classic dinner, delicious, scrumptious dinner in the Great Hall, which is this place right now. And I reminded myself the Great Hall of London. So you go and spend time. So in the next 3 hours of the meetings and gatherings in this particular community, we had an opportunity to attend a beautiful show. We sang under the rain. We danced in Champs-Élysées. We had an opportunity also to attend the wedding in Italy. And all this for $100. I love this country. It is just amazing. You come to the meetings, you think you're going to be busy all day long and just attending dry and sometimes boring meetings. It was the most fantastic day yesterday. Sorry for some of you who missed it. But thank you. We had a great travel agents, Heather Barthol, and the hostess with the mostest, Donna Law. Thank you, and thank you, Southern Utah University, for giving us the opportunity to meet in this beautiful setting. This is elegant. Thank you. With that introduction, I would like to ask Commission to introduce themselves with the region responsibility, and then we go with the UDOT family. So I'm going to go to my right. Commissioner Milner, please.
Hello, Lou Kramer, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Sorry.
Commissioner Rhonda Menlove, representing Region 1. And I'm delighted to be here in this beautiful community, and we appreciate Commissioner Law and her leadership. Thank you.
morning, Lou Kramer, Commissioner at Large from downtown Salt Lake City. And it was so great to be here yesterday and be with your wonderful mayor and all doing good things. We appreciate Commissioner Law, in fact, making good on her promise that when we came to Cedar City, we would have a great day. We did. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Donna Law. I am a commissioner at large. My home is in Cedar City, and yes, we are very delighted to have you all in Cedar City. And I also extend the welcome of our officially new president, Mindy Benz. We're glad that you're here on campus as well as here in.
Thank you. Thank you. I see Commissioner Jim Evans online and also Kevin Van Tassel. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. This is Jim Evans, represent Region 3.
Unmute yourself.
It
go
says
ahead.
I'm unmuted. Okay.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Jim Evans, Region 3, the central part of the state. Happy to be here. Sorry, I'm a little dressed down with a hat. I'm coming to you from a campground from the Tetons. Just finishing an 8-day trip to Yellowstone and the Tetons with 14 of us grandkids and my family. So I apologize, but we'll see if technology allows me to hang on for this call today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kevin Van Tassel. I live in Bernal, Utah. You truly are in one of the greatest rooms in the state of Utah. It is a beautiful hall, and the university needs to be commended for that. A lot of history there and a lot of things to do. I apologize for not being with you, but we're going to rededicate the Parcel Post Bank today starting at 11 o'clock. So I'll be here participating since I spent 38 years with that building and organization. Felt like I needed to be there. So thank you all, and it's good to be with you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I would like to excuse Commissioner Natalie Gogner. She's out for some other commitments. And my name is Nagi Zinadi. I serve as the chair of the commission. And today I cannot say sunny St. George because we have a rain and cloudy day. Thank you. I would like to also recognize our federal partners. Where is sitting? Ivans, where are you? There you go. Thank you for being here with us. And also I would like to recognize our representative from Cedar City, Rex Ship. And
Oh,
there you go. Thank you. You're behind the podium. I can see it.
Councilman Scott Phillips and Commissioner Merrill.
Okay, commissioners and the councilmen, thank you for being here. So by way of tradition now, we would like to ask the UDOT family to introduce themselves. Carlos, please.
Terry Newell, Deputy Director, Planning and Investment.
Lisa Wilson, Deputy Director, Engineering and Operations.
Please.
I'm Monty Aldridge. I'm the Region Director for Region 4. I'm Arnold Financial Programming. Bob Helly, STIP Coordinator.
Trace Walker, Project Communications Manager, Region 4.
Dave Roberts, Region 4 Program Manager. Jared Beard, I'm the Region 4 Traffic Operations Engineer. Brett Anderson, I'm the Project Manager in the area. Blake Wilson, I'm a District Engineer in this area. Chris Hall, I'm the Region Planning Manager for Region 4.
Andrea Olson, Planning Director.
Charles Stormont, the Director of Right of Way and Property Management. Chris Slater, Region 1 Program Manager. Matt Parker, Region 3 Program Manager. Ben Hewitt, Program Development Director.
Robert Stewart, Region 2 Director.
Lyle McMillan, Strategic Investments.
Kevin Kitchen, Region 4 Communications.
Wyatt Logan.
Central Communications.
Roy Peterson, Operations Director.
Rob White, Region 1 Director.
Peter Estlund with Policy and Legislative Relations.
Thank you all. For the public, as you can see, it takes a whole village to raise a kid. Oh, Carrie Ann, yes, Carrie Ann.
And
in charge.
Diane.
And the Diane, yes. Thank you. Now, by way of tradition, also, we always ask the mayor of the community to come before the commission and welcome us to his community and say whatever we'd like to say.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you and welcome to you as commissioners here to Cedar City. It's a wonderful community. I've been here quite a while. In fact, I always say I met my mother here in 1949. I don't remember it, but I'm sure she did. It's great to have you here, and it's great to be in this great hall of Southern Utah University amongst many of my neighbors and friends and relatives. You know, I can go around the room and tell the story on almost all of them. You know, Dixie and Ann Levitt, my Aunt Bessie, my Grandpa Bryant, they're all here with us and expecting us to do great things as they did in their lives. I enjoyed the activity with you yesterday, the tour through my neighborhood. It was great. Thank you for bringing the rain. We really need it. I hope you'll get some more. The outdoor, you just have to plan an outdoor dinner engagement and it will surely happen. And so that's great. We talked about and I'm glad to have Scott Phillips, our council member from Cedar City. We have Terry. There you are in the corner. We have Paul Bittman, our city manager, and Marilyn Wood here from the county, Moore County. Just Marilyn, on your own. Good job. Well, you introduced your team, and it was a pretty impressive team, and we were clearly outnumbered. But you have a lot of work to do, I'm sure. Cedar City is a wonderful place, a wonderful community, and it's experiencing some tremendous challenges with growth, challenges with water, and you saw some of that. It's a university that is growing, has grown very fast, and so building is there. We have, I estimate around 10,000 new doors under some form of development or planning, and they now, you know, yesterday just in the south they said 6,000. Well, that's true, and if you add west and north, that adds to it. And so with that comes many, many challenges. You see the challenges we have with our interchange. And certainly if you drive I-15 as I do all the time, and the needs for that third lane is important. And there are always demands and needs there that we'd like to see addressed. And certainly that will be good. We have serious water issues and we're addressing those. And there's things that can be done. We need to manage better and make other ways. We have a lot of infrastructure they're involved in with the airport and the rail that is also transportation. But when you sit on I-15 with I-70, 70 miles away, if you put your hand on the east slope of the Rocky Mountains at Denver and the western part of the United States and put your finger in the middle, it's Cedar City or maybe Cove Fort. But so you know, we really are a hub. And when we talk about doing some of this infrastructure with ports, inland ports, those kinds of things that involve you, we're in the middle of this, and it's a very fast moving train, if you will. And so it's great to have you here. Great to have you in this great university and in this great hall. and this great city. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Mayor Green. I would like to also recognize Senator Wicker, who joined us. Senator, would you like to say a few words, please?
Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here and recognize some faces I haven't seen for a while. Former Resident Menlove, welcome. And welcome you to Cedar City. We certainly appreciate it. I think it's great, and I know from my role in the legislature, when you can go out to areas and see things on the ground, it's so much easier, and it gives you a different perspective, and we certainly have a different perspective here in Southern Utah. I represent hopefully soon to be 5 counties, and a lot of that is rural areas. I will tell you one story, and Donna reminded me of this last night, but I want to thank you. I want to thank you for the bridge that was put in over the freeway by Kitty Hawk. My daughter and 2 of my grandchildren were in a head-on collision on that bridge. It was not a very safe bridge at all. It was very narrow, a lot of traffic, and one evening, under unfortunate circumstances, they had a head-on collision on that bridge. And fortunately, there wasn't any real harm to individuals. No one suffered real serious health issues, but obviously it could have been very tragic. And so thank you there very much for that, that bridge and the efforts you did. I know that I was talking to Carlos when we were a number of years ago when we were trying to put the money in place for that. And I really appreciate him a lot for going kind of out of the box to find the money for that. So I appreciate that very much. Also, I'm kind of a broken drum when we talk about transportation issues and we talk about rural Utah, and I realize it's maybe a little bit outside of the commission's role, but it isn't always a new road. It isn't always a new bridge or something in rural Utah. Most of the time it's maintenance. Most of the time it's trying to find money to put a chip seal down or add a bike lane or, those types of things. And so hope you keep that in mind as you do some of your planning and also help us as and this is something that we're struggling on the state level. We've had some conversations about this as the gas tax kind of shifts a little bit. We see shifting from gasoline vehicles to electric and some changes there. I think we're going to have to adjust. We're going to have to make some adjustments. And I know that UDOT is looking at some different models and appreciate that. And we just have to recognize that the world is changing as it always does. And we've got to adjust with it. And so we need to keep that in mind to make sure that we have enough money in BNC road funds and other transportation funds to allow for not only for new construction, but to allow for those types of maintenance issues. So once again, thank you for what you do. I really respect, what you do and the work you do and throughout the state and appreciate your consideration. I know the mayor mentioned the South Interchange, and that is an issue here in our area. And so just keep those in mind. Like I say, the areas I represent, there's significant, it varies a lot. I represent part of Washington County. It's growing very fast. Iron County is growing very fast. But then at the same token, Beaver County and Miller County and the western side of Juab County that I represent is not growing as fast, and they have different issues, and most of it. So it all changes. Same thing with water. It's really interesting to look at the difference of water in this valley versus water in Delta. For example, it's really different. And the same thing goes with transportation. So thank you for what you do. Welcome to Cedar City, and I appreciate the work you're doing today. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Reshep, if you'd like to come also.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm dressed in my Friday clothes. It's close to the weekend, so it's
Happy
time to
Friday.
get more
That's
casual.
you will look just fine.
We'd all like to be dressed like that.
But I just like to say ditto to everything Senator Evan Vickers said. It's you do a fabulous job. It reminded me of when I was growing up. I'm from Joseph, Utah. Do all of you know where Joseph is? I grew up on a ranch there in Joseph in Sevier County. And every June 11th of every year, we'd take our cattle up on the forest, up on the north end of the Beaver Mountains. So we'd drive them up the road and up Clear Creek Canyon up and put them up on Fish Creek. Well, in the early 70s, the traffic was getting so heavy on that Canyon Road because I-70 was not completed yet. They had started it on the eastern side, and so it was funneling a lot of traffic our way. And so all the traffic was coming up Highway 89 and then cutting up the canyon over to I-15. And it got so bad on the traffic as we were driving cattle, we'd have cars stacked up for miles, and a lot of these people didn't know how do you get through a herd of cattle, you know? So they're just watching and getting in the way, and we're calves running off and getting lost and things. And so we finally had to start trucking them up the mountain after that for several years, until once I-70 was through again, then we got to have our cattle drive back. And it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun too. I have fond memories of those cattle drives and so forth. But transportation is so critical. It's grown. I-70's been there for a lot of years now, and there's other needs in the state, and Evan has focused some attention on that. But I appreciate you being here and holding your meeting here and letting us be present. Thank you.
Thank you. It is amazing. The senator talked about the sudden any change. It was like yesterday. I was sitting there on the top of the parking lot next to Marriott Hotel with him and our region director and the several of you, the Mayor Wilson, and we had a ribbon cutting. Yesterday, when I was talking about that being yesterday, Monty reminded me that was 10 years ago. Time flies. And of course, we thought that it's going to be lasting for a few years, but because of the growth in your community, all the businesses coming in and the quality of life that you have offered in this community, everybody's here from all over the United States. And that's why you have that kind of congestion and that interchange. But otherwise, we thought that it's going to be for a few years at least. So thank you for reminding us. Now we're going to go to local area presentation by Region 4, and Monty Aldridge, the Region Director, is going to lead us. Thank you.
Well, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. And in a moment, I'm going to introduce Kate Roberts, who's going to give the presentation. But before I do that, I wanted to continue the thank yous, because we had a great day yesterday. And I first of all want to thank the mayor for hosting us here in Cedar City. Thank you very much. Very gracious host. And Commissioner Laws, thank you for all the work that you did to put together the events that we participated in yesterday. Very much appreciate that. It was a fantastic day, like everybody has said. And I also want to thank our team from the region that helped make it possible, putting together the presentations and the tour. There's a lot of work and effort goes into that, and I'd be remiss if I didn't appreciate and thank them for what they've done there for us. And with that said, I hope you enjoy the presentation, and I'll have Kate Roberts come up and deliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Monty.
Commissioners, thanks for having me here. I'll bring up this presentation, and if I do this right, it will all work.
Yeah, let's do a better job than the last time, Kate. Your computer was going every direction.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but I did come early to really test this out, and we ran through it. Hopefully, we won't have any bugs this time. So Iron County, what a great county. I mean, this picture probably doesn't say it all, but this is Cedar Breaks National Monument. This is kind of the crown of the county. And there's a lot of sites around here that you guys are attracting lots of visitors for. This is just one of them. But we're happy to be here and talk about the projects that seem to happen more in the valley, although we have a few up the canyon right now. And those projects just aren't ending, as we can see here. I'm going to show this. So this Iron County, looks like we're a little zoomed in, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit. But Iron County, we've had for the last 10 years, $235 million spent in the county on UDOT projects. And these dollars have equated to 141 projects. Of that money, that includes state and federal funds, along with some local participation as well. The projects have been comprised of everything from planning to some sort of study in the area, traffic studies, concepts, designs, construction, and just right now we've seen a lot of completed projects. The first project I want to talk about, I'm going to start with some construction projects. This project was very highlighted yesterday by Enoch City. The project itself, if you see here on the map, Enoch is just north of Cedar City. And I put a little dot here because that is where the highlight of this project is. There's a roundabout that was installed on this project. But the purpose of this project was to improve the safety and the capacity of that intersection on that State Route 130. State Route 130 actually runs over I-15 and into Cedar City. And that's what a lot of the traffic in Cedar City runs on all the way to that South Cedar interchange. Right now, that project is completed. The value of the project was $5.2 million. And I'm going to just open this picture to show you. It was mentioned yesterday how beautiful that roundabout is at night. I mean, it's hard to say traffic systems are beautiful. Bridges are pretty, but this roundabout really does stick out, and it is a beautiful roundabout. They've done a really good job at making it a centerpiece of the town. The next project I want to talk about is actually related to, it was already mentioned, the Coal Creek Road Bridge replacement. The bridge itself, it does connect two sides of the town, and it goes over I-15, and the bridge was there in the past, like it says, it's a replacement, but it was very narrow, and the public that preferred to use walking or bicycling to cross was not really able to do so because of its narrowness. The project itself removed and replaced the bridge with a wider bridge that included a 6-foot sidewalk and also included wider and more standard lane widths for vehicles. The total project cost was $8.65, and as you can see, it's completed and very busy. Every time I go under it, I see, like yesterday, half a dozen cars using the bridge. Very, very good project. And I'll just highlight this picture. This is one of many pictures, but you can see that building a bridge is quite the in-your-face awesome feat. You can see it come together and the different steps that it takes. Demoing a bridge too is also awesome. This one, I do have a video of the demo I'm not going to show, but if you ever want it, it's a fun video to see how they rip that thing down. And this is, I do want to mention, I mean, there's a lot of local involvement here. And I think the locals themselves are really excited to have this bridge in place because it is a main connection for the city. I-15 preservation projects. We wanted to kind of, I think the county has seen orange barrels on I-15 for the last at least 3 years consecutively. I put together this map showing the different projects and how we have gone about preserving I-15 through the county, making it a smooth, nice, safe road. The projects range, there's a total of 6 projects currently that have either been completed or in design or in construction along this route. And I've highlighted in these colors so you can just see how long that stretch is. So over the last 2 to 3 years, these projects have been happening. And later on the slide, I'll show you the south end of a capacity project for the future that will be happening in this area. But the I-15 corridor through here is traveled well. There's a lot of people on it, so keeping it safe, smooth, and in good condition is one of our priorities. I have to give credit to our PI people for the wonderful pictures they can take. Look at the mountains in the background and that storm brewing. SR14, I'm going to zoom out to give everyone a perspective of where SR14 is. If you look here in Cedar City on the left, SR14 is the road that goes up the canyon. A lot of you saw it yesterday in your walk. There was a major project years ago with an emergency project due to a slide on State Route 14. You probably heard about if you're not really familiar with the area. It's the same road that gets you up to Duck Creek, to Cedar Breaks, to you can get to Zion. If you go back to 89, it's well used. It's well used. And we are currently under construction on a passing lane project. I'm going to zoom in right here. So if you go up the canyon, just before you hit these switchbacks, there's an area right here that's called Woods Ranch. A lot of people go up that way and spend some time there. But the project the value is 4.3 million under construction, planned to be completed this year. And it will allow passing in the eastbound direction. So that's up the canyon. So a lot of those slower vehicles will be able to pull off into that lane and allow that the additional traffic to pass them as they go up the canyon. We also, as we got into this project, we found that there was a lot of deteriorated culverts and structures, and this is one of the structures that we extended and fixed as we went up through the canyon. Another construction picture right there. Okay, I-15 we replaced bridges over Nichols Canyon Road. This is on I-15, so the actual bridges carry that mainline I-15 traffic. So just like, I shouldn't say just like up north, but up north, I-15 traffic, we can't disrupt very easily without some major implications. So this project, we had to really think about how we were to move traffic around. And this was a unique process. On this one, the project itself, and it was recently constructed and it's just finishing up some minor details at the moment, but we phased the traffic by using the new bridge in the median and then shifted the new bridge to an old bridge location as we made the MOT switch around in the final stages of the project. So it was a unique process, and Donna had a lot to do with this, and we'll show that in a second, how she pushed that bridge into place. We mentioned it yesterday. But a lot of these phases are well planned and well executed. And I've heard, I don't know if this is true, I've got to talk to Cheryl and see if it's true, but I've heard that it was one of the fastest bridge slides that we've had in the state. I think the total time was about 2.5 hours. So the value of the project was about 10.5 million and came together really nice. These are a couple pictures, but I have an awesome video. So it's only a minute long. And there's Donna. This is how we get things into place. You just hire Donna. We don't need all that big equipment. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's the red one. It's a good video, a time lapse of seeing how something so big can be done so quickly. I mean, they did that in a minute. That was pretty impressive, you know.
The people of Utah need to see that, what you does.
Yes.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. And you know, this is being done all over the state. It was just awesome that Cedar City got to experience as well and see that, you know, how important it is that we keep the public moving on our roads while we do these construction projects. It was a great job well done, and that bridge went in really smooth, and thanks to Donna. Give her thanks, because you see where that line was coming together. I think that's where you got involved, right?
I think that's about right.
Yep, that's right, and a lot of Dawn dish soap. That was the key.
Great.
State Route 14 is experiencing another project as well, and it's up the canyon. If you know where Duck Creek is, I'm going to zoom out just barely. Duck Creek's kind of on the latter end of State Route 14 as it connects to State Route 89. And 89 is a big corridor for us on the middle part of the state as it connects to Zion all the way up to Salt Lake. So it's used frequently as well. Duck Creek, this is a preservation project where we're adding asphalt to strengthen this mountainous roadway. It's a beautiful, beautiful drive. Next year will even be more beautiful when that project's done. That project is planned to be completed next year with a project value of $9.15 million. You can see the mountainous terrain that it's in. It's already began. And I went through that about a month ago and it looked like it was coming along, but there is a lot of traffic up there as well. SR 289, the SU loop. Not many people know, but the state owns the loop around Southern Utah University. We do have a project on it, and you've probably seen it out there. If you go out there, the asphalt's nice and black. We added a seal to the pavement to preserve it, to help it last longer. That project value is lower, almost $800,000, but it is complete. We coordinated some of the project with a drainage project that was ripping up parts of the road. Some that may have to be repaired here in the future, but for the most part, that project came together really well and restriped really well with some new coordinated striping with the city and SUU. This picture we took before the seal. The seal recently happened, so this is just actually a lane level that was down to help flatten out the road before we put the seal down. Okay, this map doesn't tell you a whole lot, but I'm going to tell you about this project that's coming up. We do have a project that is funded. The project value is $70 million. It is a third lane in the northbound direction from milepost 43 to 56. So that's fairly long. That's 13 miles. And 13 miles, that would be an additional lane for 13 miles in northbound direction. And as a lot of the people here have seen, especially I'm sure the mayor has seen, we hit these holiday weekends and we have backed up traffic all the way to Beaver almost. So this third lane is going to help move that traffic all the way to Cedar. The third lane is we've gone through some conceptual designs in that third lane, and we're trying to figure out, do we go outside? Do we go inside? No plans have been set just yet. We do have a project that you've seen already that's called the South Iron County Environmental Assessment. You'll be looking at today in commission where this project and the South Cedar Interchange project, we're looking environmentally at the impacts and how we can best make this project work. Which brings us to the South Cedar Interchange. This is not a project. We have, it was mentioned earlier that the South Cedar Interchange is receiving some congestion. It was built just over 10 years ago, but it was planned for about a 10-year lifespan. So I wouldn't say that we planned, but we knew that there was a possibility that the population increase and some of the other things happening in Cedar City could have an impact on this interchange. Needless to say, a lot of the impact has happened to the south part of the state, part of Cedar City, right? We have, I think they mentioned, over 6,000 new homes going in below this interchange. And then if you're familiar with Cedar, this is kind of the focal point for commerce. A lot of people come in here and out of here to eat, to shop. And so this project connects east and west to another major part of Cedar City. It is used heavily. We talked about this yesterday. Brett mentioned this graph. We did a feasibility study looking at the traffic, and we found that this is the interchange itself. I mean, engineers like to draw things really simple, right? Because it makes sense to us. Pictures. We don't like to read very much, but we like pictures. If you look, that is the interchange in the middle where it says D, and then on either side are the intersections locally. So you have the intersection Providence Center where Walmart is, and then where that B is the intersection over by that new Maverick. As we studied this, we found that the intersections were doing okay currently. So this is 2021 traffic levels. But what we found is, and this is, Brett mentioned this yesterday, so I'm just going to remind you that us engineers, again, we like pictures and we like grades. We like to get A's and B's in school, right? Well, we rate our intersections similarly, where an F is bad, A, B, C's passing, D's, we designed to even a D. You can get through school with a D. but we don't like to. So we looked at this and we found that our interchange is actually performing very poorly right now. And you can see that at different times of the day. As 5 o'clock hits and everyone's going home or everyone's going to go get dinner, there's a lot of buildup, we call queuing, where cars start to stack in the interchange. And it has an effect on the surrounding intersections, including the one by Walmart and Maverick, which have acceptable ratings, but are still, you can see some of the movements, the turning movements are yellow, which means they're getting closer to that bad level of D. I'm going to get off that. And we decided to look at it even further. We looked at the 2030 level of service, and this is what we found, is as the population grew and the commercial grew in this area, that all of our intersections start to fail. Fail is a bad word. That makes it sound like nothing's going to move through here. It's going to move, but at different times of the day, you'll have long queue lengths that aren't safe, not safe in our standards. And so that's why it caused our attention that we didn't want to get the interchange to that point. And we're looking at ways now to fund a fix for that matter. And again, what you're going to see today is that environmental assessment, funding an environmental assessment to look at, that will look at all the possible ways we can fix this area to the best ability we can with the money, or I should say cost benefit type money situation, where we look at how we can get the best bang for our buck for everyone. So that, as far as southern part of the city, I'm just going to end with, we always have a plan. We're trying to get it in place with this environmental assessment. As you see that today, you'll know why that's being proposed. The next thing I want to mention is, speaking of planning, is we constantly look at different sections of our state system, and Iron County, Cedar City is no exception. We have been involved in, we've funded a State Route 14 bicycle safety plan, where we've looked at how this is a national safety route on State Route 14, looking at how we can better accommodate bicyclists on State Route 14 in a safe area, safely in a very dangerous area. You know, Canyon Road it's a hard place to put bikes. So with shouldering, with signs, we're looking at ways that we can improve that area. Then there's the SR 130 access management plan that was recently funded with a project value of $40,000. So this access management plan is between Cedar City and Enoch, where we look at all the different accesses. Access is where people enter and exit our state highway. So it's where the roads intersect our state highway. We're looking at how to make those better to reduce unsafe situations with cars coming onto the highway. So this study looked at that and is making a plan for how that's executed in the future. And then Enoch and Cedar City's transportation master plan, the project value is well over $100,000, but because we have a state system that we've been involved with this project, and how both of them together, our system and their system, work to make a better place for Cedar City and still move traffic through their town. And last but not least, but the Bryan Head Corridor study is, you know, Bryan Head is a bustling place pretty much all year round now. And keeping the amenities open and accessible, this project was in combination with the city up there and looking at how we can make this corridor a better place and able to access the different parts of Bryan Head more easily. There's a few other projects I will mention, and this is the last part of my slide, but we do have a new signal going in on State Route 130, Nichols Canyon Road, and then we have Fiddler's Canyon Trail Extension. You may have heard about this. This was recently funded using our active transportation funding. And then State Route 130, Main Street signals. That's at 600 South on 130. That's in Cedar City. And then State Route 130 and 56, we're doing a solutions development study. This is looking at State Route 130 itself and how it's kind of like a corridor study with the locals. I don't know how best to explain it, but looking at what the future of State Route 130 is and how it's going to work with the city. And 56, State Route 56 is the same. We're looking at 56 through the city and how it is going to mesh with the local system. So that's the value of that project is $150,000 as well. So with that, I'll open up any questions that you may have, commissioners.
Go ahead, please.
Cade, you brought up the idea that engineers like A's and B, but you also said that we design to a D. So
Yes.
that came up with my seatmate and I on the bus trip yesterday. So
Yes.
could you maybe better explain that? I assume that means a D many years down the road,
It
not
does.
a D. So if you could clarify that for all of our many
Yes.
listeners.
That's a good thing. I'm glad you brought that up because that is worth mentioning. I mean, we put in a system and we hope it lasts in the AB category for a long time. But when we say we design to a D, that means we design 30 years down the road. And at D is when we need to start thinking about it again, start replacing that system or fixing it in some way. And so as you saw with the South Cedar interchange, we're hitting that D. So that's the trigger, is now it's time to look at a new system. But yeah, this new system we're looking at would last to at least 2050 before it hit a D.
Thanks for that clarification.
Go ahead.
I just want to reiterate Senator Vickers' comments, congratulations on maintenance, because those roads take a lot of snow, they take a lot of trucks, and it just is so good to be on them. I was on them last week, driving up to Bryan Head, east side of Zion, and I'm just really proud of what's happening there. So, Monty, welcome, and thanks for that. And we appreciate Rick Torgeson's help in the past, but it really makes a difference on those roads. And I'm proud that when we had tourists from everywhere there at Bryce Canyon, they're just saying, hey, these roads are pretty good. So they're not pretty good. They're A and B's mostly. So thank you for that. Keep it up.
Thanks, Commissioner Kramer.
Any other question from online? Commissioner Evans, Commissioner Van Tassel?
No, great presentation, and it was very clear online. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Kate. Good job. As the commission, we always encourage local leaders, mayors, city council members, city managers, county commissioners to take a copy of this presentation and share with your constituents. 235 million is a lot of money spent in your community. We don't have access as a commission or UDOT to come individually and talk to your citizens. So you as a local leaders, you have the opportunity and immediate access to them. Please take that opportunity and share, because it's important for them to know that their taxpayer money is getting spent wisely. Thank you. Next item of agenda is the public comment section. At this point, we have 8 written comments that Eileen Barron is going to read to us. And after that, I will open to the public to come and present their cases. Eileen, you have the mic.
Good morning, commissioners, and those of you in Cedar City. It's my pleasure to join you virtually today. I have just one written comment to share. And then I will be sharing some additional summary of comments related to the draft STIP during that agenda item. So here's our one written comment. Hello, my name is Spencer Reel, and I live in Taylorsville, just south of 4100 South. I work as a teacher in West Jordan, and over the last year, I've transitioned more of my own trips to 2 wheels. My bicycle does 95% of what I need to do, and I want UDOT to place a much higher priority on safe, protected bicycle infrastructure. UDOT controls and maintains numerous large urban arterial roads throughout Salt Lake County, and it's a complete disaster trying to get anywhere without using a private car. There is so much space available to be used to help people get around without a car. Survey results show that business owners like bike lanes after they are installed. They also show that people are way more likely to ride their bikes if they feel like they have a safe path to their destination. And it's things like the absolute dangerous disaster that is Redwood Road or 4700 South that are literal walls, dividing communities and giving normal people no safe way of getting around. Riding bicycles on sidewalks is dangerous because cars shoot out over the sidewalk without looking both ways, which means someone wanting to go a mile to the grocery store has no reasonable option other than getting in their car. Not everyone should have to be as careless with their personal safety as me to get around. I urge you to give people safe, protected bike lanes leading through intersections that aren't free-for-all. What could be better in a time of inflation and high prices than giving people the ability to get around with their $100 beater bike from years before? Do what's right. Make the hard decisions. You have my contact information and I'm willing to help out on whatever panels or public consultations you need. Let's do this. Best, Spencer Reel. And I believe the actual written comment will be attached to the meeting minutes. And that concludes the written comments for today.
Okay. Thank you, Eileen. Now we'd like to open to people present today in this room, and then online people would like to make a comment. When you come to the mic, would you please introduce yourself and your position with the community that you lead? Thank you.
Hello, I am Jackie Grant from Southern Utah University. I'm a professor here. I'm also the chair of the Active Transportation Committee for Cedar City, and I'm also a member of the Trails Commission for Cedar City. And I just want to second those comments from the written person in Taylorsville and say that active transportation and having these options, even in a community like Cedar City that is considered to be rural and maybe not have as many traffic problems, it's still really important. And there are many members of the community who are really interested in more active transportation options throughout the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
Good morning, Commission. I'm Scott Phillips. I serve on the Cedar City Council, and I had the great honor of addressing you in March down in Washington to talk about our South Interchange, and I appreciate the response and the attentive ears that you gave to us. I just want to thank Cade for his presentation, and I would be remiss if I didn't let you all know what a great team we have in Region 4. It's an honor for us as a city and as a county to work with these great leaders. They have great vision, great planning. That is not to dish the rest of the regions, I want you to know. But they are very attentive. They listen to us. They care. And I want to thank all of you for the projects that you've funded in our county and certainly in Cedar City and its region. But we're not going to stop pushing you, just so you know. We're going to keep working with you to make great things happen in Cedar City and Iron County. And I thank you for all your great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Phillips.
May I just make a reminder that we're not the ones funding it. It's the taxpayers and citizens of this great state. So thank you. Well, we're in this together, but it's a pleasure to be part of it.
Good morning, Commission. Good to see your smiling faces this morning. I'm sure it's good to see mine as well. We've seen my face a couple times before, but since you've last seen me, you may have seen our city manager, Eric Duthie from Hilldale, more recently. But he's probably has already spoken to you about the accident we had on our State Route 59 on the road coming into our town roughly a month and a half ago. That was a fatality accident. So over the past couple, like I've said previously, every single month we've had an injury accident on that road. This one has been a continuation of that as well. And I do want to shout out to the staff that you guys have had. Brian Kornberg and Jared Beard reached out to us almost immediately after that to work with us on our project. We've gotten a commitment verbally for roughly $200,000 of matching funds for our State Route 59 intersection onto Utah Avenue, which is going to be super helpful for decreasing the speeds and increasing the safety on that interchange, as well as some driver feedback signs that they've been able to provide us. And we worked well with them so far. So I just want to shout out to them that they've been fantastic to work with. We're working really well. We have our Public Works Director, and his name is John Barlow right here, and then Stacy C, who's on our City Council as well. And so we're working on our master transportation plan, which will include a big ask from the commission for us to expand the safety and expand that route coming in off of State Route 59. So just wanted to update you guys on that, and thanks so much for having us.
Thank you. Don't be shy. There's no charge.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Ron Kundig from the great metropolis of Leeds, Utah. Our population may hit 1,000 in a couple of years, we're hoping. I'm here representing Mayor Bill Hoster, who's out of town, and I'm on the town council. We've, for those of you who don't know where Leeds is, and maybe you've even seen it on a map occasionally, but we're kind of sandwiched between Cedar City and St. George. And if you slow down to 60 miles an hour, you might pass it in a minute when you're going down there. But nonetheless, we're a beautiful area, and we have a few problems we need your help with. For the past, I guess, 3 or 4 years, we've been working with DOT on trying to solve a problem with Main Street's drainage. And we have a beautiful Main Street down there. Old 91 is in great shape, but now we have a problem with drainage because when we have that rain once every 2 years, it really tears things up. We have drainage we can't control, water flooding. Things went pretty good the past 6 months or so, and we had no rainfall, but this last few weeks have really caused us problems on that, and people have been coming out of the woods. I'm sorry, what's going on here. When it rains and we get the flooding, we get to meet all of our citizens in a hurry. We haven't seen them at town council for 2 years, but when it rains, they show up and let us know that they need our help. We had some prior studies done in conjunction with DOT, and we now have an opportunity to take another look at the drainage problem. The Washington County Water Conservancy District has decided to tear up your beautiful Main Street and run a huge pipe through there. And as long as they're going to destroy the street, we thought it might be a good time to reevaluate whether we could put some drainage in there. And this might be an opportunity to do the drainage right and perhaps save some money in the process. And so we would like to proceed with working with DOT and evaluating this and see if this might be an opportunity to solve this problem long term. The proposals right now, we had a commitment from DOT for around $380,000, somewhere around there, and around $80,000 from the town of Leeds. But that's sort of a Band-Aid because the way it was going to fix it, because it means raising the sidewalks and above the level of the road to try and handle the drainage. And so we're hoping we can solve this in a better way with putting some kind of drainage into the highway. I thank you for your willingness to cooperate with us. I thank you for allowing me to present this today, and I send the greetings from Mayor Bill Hoster, and he wishes he could be here. And I appreciate very much the way in which your, I'll call staff and commissioners interact with us. They're very, very kind, very helpful, very gracious, very willing to listen to us. They don't always have the money we want, but they're there to help us out, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. I know that Tracy Munson in the past and with the Rick Torgerson and the Region 4 people have worked with you in the past. And I think the offer we had given you in the past with the Mayor Peterson was $287,000, not $387,000. So don't give yourself a raise yet. But I promise that we will work with the Washington County Conservancy District and of course with the town. We're always looking for the partners to do the job and do better than before. So be patient. Thank you. Any other? Please.
Hi, I'm Mayor Molly Halterman. That presentation, first of all, that was amazing. I was waiting for the applause. I was driving, but I thought, how are people not standing up and clapping for that?
It's
So
not too late.
that was really amazing. And I agree, it should be shared with the community. So I'm doing a shameless plug, listening to the study that's being done from Cedar to Enoch, and then another study that's being done for Bryan Head. And there's a little town called Parowan, Utah, that really is the only way to get to Bryan Head from I-15 during about 8 months out of the year when that pass through Cedar Breaks is closed. We all know there's a lot of growth in the Bryan Head area, obviously in Parowan as well. I actually met Carlos at the state capitol, and I didn't even know who he was, and I kind of embarrassed myself, but anyone who knows me knows that's true to brand. But that exit 75 and that exit 78 need to be looked at. Obviously, we're going to have some issues. We've got a big fairground expansion and then everything that's going on up there at Bryan Head. The second one, and I don't know if this is the right meeting for it, but we have the coordinated or joint highways that have funded our bridge on 91. I don't know where that project stands, but that's been priority one on the CASI and CIB for quite some time. So stepping in, just anyone that can help me with updates on that as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Someone will contact you immediately. Don't worry. The help is already
So
underway.
I can give a quick update. That's actually funded in October 2023. There's a structure there in Parowan.
Thank you, Monty.
I'm Marilyn Wood. I am Iron County Commissioner. And I just wanted to thank you all for being here. We love to show off our beautiful community. We're really proud because Donna is on this commission and she's an icon here in Southern Utah and in Cedar City. I wanted to talk just a second about a couple of things. I have a correction. So Wood Ranch is not Woods Ranch.
Okay.
It was my family that donated that. It was Woods with apostrophe, and just like you guys, the apostrophe fell away somewhere. So we want that credit that our family donated that property. So we just did a resolution this last couple of months to say that it's Wood Ranch, not Woods Ranch. Anyway, I did want to say that I was excited to see that project up by Woods Ranch, Wood Ranch. That and I did that.
It's going to take us a
didn't I?
while to undo that S.
I know. But that'll be a beautiful addition to that area because there is a big buildup with that. So we're excited to have that finished this next year. And also, there's a issue that we're having. I'm over the roads for the county, and we're looking to do an inland port satellite out on Iron Springs. We've got a lot of businesses that are really pushing for that. We're trying to get help from the state, but if we don't, those businesses, I think, are going to push that along anyway. That is a county road. It's just a chip-sealed road. And with a lot of truck traffic, we're going to really have a hard time with that. And so I would ask maybe to help us with that. We've talked about maybe exchanging for other roads with the county so that maybe the Iron Springs Road could be taken over by UDOT. It would be like big coal trucks, gypsum, steel, iron, that type of thing on those roads, and it just absolutely would not hold up. Anyway, that's just a little bee in your bonnet, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone from the online community would like to join in? Okay, thank you. I'll move on to the next project or next item of agenda. We have a special and unique presentation from Utah Tech University, aka Dixie State University, for the people that they don't recognize the name. And we have Cheryl Kaplinger. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us here today. Heather, as a point of clarification, will you take us through slide by slide, or should we navigate ourselves? I'm sorry? We can click. Great. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to introduce my colleague who is going to be giving this presentation. We are very grateful for being up here today. Again, my name is Cheryl Kaplinger. I'm the Executive Director of Strategic Partnerships for Utah Tech University, formerly Dixie State. We have a very exciting idea that we have been brewing in our minds and talked with several people about already, including 5 counties, talking with the Federal Department of Energy, the Federal Department of Transportation, 5 counties, every municipality around. It's a very exciting project that we have, specifically to answer those problems that we have been talking about in the ways of congestion on the roads, leveraging what we have in southern Utah, minus today, sun, having quite a bit of the use of that solar energy, and solving some problems of being able to provide a mass transportation solution that would help quite a few. I'm going to have my colleague, Dr. Wayne Provost, Doc, come and give this presentation to you. You might know his work not only from working on the insulin pump, but the portable dialysis machines in the 70s. His family's been in St. George for quite a while, and he has also patented the resealable cereal box. He is the founder of our innovation solutions, our innovations guidance and solutions at the Atwood Innovation Plaza there at Utah Tech. And he brings with him his colleagues, Jeff Stewart, who runs our Atwood Innovation Plaza, as well as our business services person, our business manager, Wyatt Anderson, and my colleague, Henry Walton, for government relations. So with that, I want to introduce Doc to tell you about this exciting project and the hopes that we can get funds for a feasibility study. Doc?
While he's coming to the podium, may I remind the SUU staff and the public, this is a patented innovation, so don't get any ideas.
For what it's worth, we believe in partnerships too.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity. Mayor of Cedar City, where are you?
Right there.
When you were born, 1949, I was coming through your city with my parents in a car with a bag on the front, water. I think there was burlap bag. And we were on our way to St. George, which was about 7 to 8 hours from Salt Lake. Roads weren't very magnificent in those days, ladies and gentlemen. When I see what you've done compared to what I used to drive through when I was a young man, it's unbelievable. I apologize for not wearing a suit. When I did this presentation about several weeks ago in St. George, my wife told me to look presentable. I wore a suit. Temperature outside was about 107 degrees. I was about, after the day was through, I was about 3 degrees away from a full cremation. So I'm happy to be here. I've spent time on your campus in the past. I've been around quite a bit. Anyway, I've spent most of my life working on, you can put me back, yeah. Isn't technology amazing?
It is.
We used to have a little machine, you put paper under it and it put it on a wall. Joking. I spent most of my life seeing problems, innovation, and trying to do patents and protect those ideas. They're all over the place. Resealable cereal box top, insulin pump dialysis machine, dental fiber optics, mechanical devices, medical devices. I'm extremely interested in doing green energy now. We're trying to, Jeff, myself, and Wyatt worked on atmospheric water machines and make water out of the atmosphere, which has been patented. So we started working on this project on the solar rails. Can you change the slide for me? Next slide. Anyway, the concept is an elevated solar rail system. It's powered by solar rail, and the solar energy from the parking lot and the depot is basically can be sold back to the local grid for that power company, and it can be used also to charge the trains. This is not a long train. This is a tram situation with multiple trams going in various directions. The patent on this whole concept comes about how we charge them, and I won't share that with you right now, but patent pending status, we've gone through the provisional and the non-provisional status on this. We also think that electric buses is going to be a big thing in the future. So where the tram would stop at the various terminal locations, bus could pick up and take throughout the town, etc. We also would provide charging tables, spaces for buses, and people who are going to ride the tram around a city, for example, may want to park their car. And if they have electric cars, they could also charge those cars. Next slide, please. This is how the solar rail cars are designed. The reason for you've seen this structure called roller coaster tracks, called tubular tracking. Concept of tubular tracking was invented in 1956. Most of you have ridden that ride. It's called the Matterhorn at Disneyland. It was manufactured by a local company here in Utah. That's where it started. That company has changed its name. It's now in Logan, Utah, that manufactures the roller coasters. You also have another company in Utah, in Springville, that manufactures the tracks. So the tubular tracks gives us the ability to put an underguard wheel so the train cannot be dislodged or come off the track. When you're 16 feet in the air, you do not want to have a train derail. These are lightweight trains, the ultralight rail systems. And so it's not, like I said, a big long train. You will notice a solar panel on the top of the car. That is not necessary to charge the cars. The cars are charged at the depots. When the cars pull into a depot, then that certain part of the rail is activated. So there's no electricity going on unless the car's on top of it. And the car could also be moving and be charging, and that rail section is not activated unless the car's on it. But we found out when it gets hot, there's a lot of sun. And when it gets hot, people want to cool off. So the air conditioning systems on top of the tram cars are regulated by the solar panel on that car. Next slide, please. We were talking originally interconnecting 7 cities in southern Utah and putting a terminal in each of the cities and/or locations. We're dealing with 5 different electrical companies: Dixie Power, Washington, Hurricane, Rocky Mountain, and St. George. And the idea was that we'd have to make sure that we interface with those various companies, because you don't have sunshine all the time. And also we would be making enough electricity to sell back to the various power companies. When we started this project, we were estimating, and we did all the calculations, it would take 6 acres to make 1 megawatt. With the new silicone solar the new solar panels, we have now cut it down to about 2.5 acres to make 1 megawatt of electricity, which is a considerable amount of electricity, by the way, for what system we're using. Next slide, please. Here are the locations that you start in St. George, you could go to the Sun River area. That on the bottom is the new Utah Tech campus station that's out on exit 2. There's 183 acres out there that we're going to be developing as an innovation type system. You then have the Sand Hollow, or the airport, I'm sorry, Sand Hollow, and then goes to Hurricane. I'm sorry, I said it right, Hurricane, and then Washington, and then back to St. George. Those rails go in opposite directions, so you have a tram coming and going at all times. This is, then we got into the concept that, well, gee, that maybe we'd like to include Santa Clara and Ivans, and the top you come up, Zion's Canyon. And these are what we call point-to-point stations, 2 rails, and you have trains going opposite direction, but they only stay on that one track. They don't do a circular motion. This gives us the opportunity to build this kind of a proposition in stages. It doesn't have to be all done at one time. Like one terminal could be built going to another terminal, and then later on we could expand that. Next.
Dr. Provost, what's the difference between the red stations and the blue stations?
Red stations would be the point-to-point stations.
Wow.
And the blue stations are the ones that are in the loop.
Yeah, okay.
That's a 45-mile loop, by the way. Next slide, please. Basically, what we've been talking to people about, and this is the round loop type terminal. You got one tram going one way, and the other tram going the other way. The bottom area is restrooms, obviously, ticketing is done at the bottom, and it's all handicap available for everything, the elevators, etc. So we've been talking to people. First of all, we know the concept works. A lot of the stuff's already out and in place. It's just bringing the new concepts all together. And I just want to know if this is something that Southern Utah would want to get involved with. For that matter now, the state. That we're looking to do a feasibility study to see how it would work. And this is a long feasibility study. I was an advocate in 1982 or 3 for the light rail in Salt Lake. And I think we got a grant in 1983 to do our study there. Anyway, that's pretty much what we're trying to do. It's kind of way out there. We see the tram systems following the existing road systems. My prayer would be that we could go down the middle of the interstates. Obviously, that's a federal and state manages that. But I thank you for your time. And once again, thank you for putting this together. I really do appreciate it.
Any question from Dr. Provost? Okay.
Is anything like this anywhere else in the world? In fact, it's patent pending. I see Greg Prince's, my old friend's name on it too.
Greg and I do a lot of work together. We've got a couple of patents together, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And Greg he comes to us. He's here for 2 weeks, and he goes back home to Maryland for 2 weeks. He's the one that introduced us to our first meeting with the Department of Transportation. So we're doing a lot together. Is there anything like this around? No.
Not even in Europe, not even Mideast.
We did anytime somebody comes to me with an idea, I spend a lot of time to vet that idea.
I do a commercial vetting and I do a patent vetting. And to answer your question, solar rail systems, there are some solar ideas, concepts. The idea of elevating the rail is totally new for an electric system, and it makes it so much easier because you can you go over roads, you don't have to tear up property. You know, we wanted to make it safe, so we didn't get involved with pedestrian problems, et cetera, et cetera. But thanks for answering that question, because the answer is no.
Anything Greg Prince is involved with, I'm interested in. He's known him a long, long time. And we know it's sunny in St. George. Our chairman reminds us of that. So lots of things going for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Dixie Transportation Executive Council also has endorsed Dr. Provor's plan, and they have sent us a letter accordingly. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. Next item of agenda is our partners from the Federal Highway Administration. Ivan Barrero will present that item.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Ivan Marrero, and I serve as the Division Administrator for the Federal Highway Division here in Utah. Thank you for giving me a few minutes to present some items of interest to you. And I want to start by just saying what an amazing area this is. I feel bad that I only driven through it, maybe stopped at one of the interchanges for lunch, but it is beautiful here. It's a beautiful area, beautiful campus. And, you know, I feel like I've been transported back to medieval England in this hall. So it's just amazing. And I want to congratulate Monty. I believe this is his first commission meeting as Region 4 Director. So, and he's done an amazing job setting all this up, he and his staff. So thank you. We've had a busy last couple of months at the Federal Highway Administration because we're nearing the end of our fiscal year. So as often happens, people just start sending things out. So I do have several items to bring to your attention this morning. The National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure. So the funds are there, but before the states were allowed to start utilizing those funds, they had to develop a deployment plan. And that plan was due, I believe, 1st of August. We got UDOT's plan. It came in early, so thank you, Lyle. It is being reviewed by our office and the joint office, and we expect to have our decision by September 30th, probably earlier than that. We're having a meeting next week to kind of go over the details, but I would imagine, based on what we've seen so far, that there shouldn't be any hiccups there. So thank you for getting that in. The ProTech Formula program, it stands for, let's see, I gotta read it because it's Promoting Resilient Operations for Transformative, Efficient, and Cost-Saving Transportation Formula program. And that was the program that on the 29th, Secretary Buttigieg joined Governor Cox at the Capitol to announce that we were coming up with a guidance for that program. And also making the $7.2 billion formula money available to the states. And that money is intended for states and local jurisdictions to strengthen their facilities, to make it more resilient to weather events. It is a 5-year program. So for the state of Utah, it amounts to about $12.7 million per year for a total of $65.1 million. And I wanted to say, beyond the formula program, there's also a discretionary part to this program that will be coming out later on down the line. So there will be another opportunity for additional funding. We issued a notice of funding opportunity for the Reconnecting Communities Pilot Discretionary Grant Program, and it's a $1 billion program out of the bipartisan infrastructure law, and it's intended to be used to help reconnect communities that may have been impacted or separated by transportation infrastructure in the past. So the funds can be used to restore that connectivity, and there's lots of ways that can be done. So the notice was issued on the 30th of June, and we are accepting applications until October 13th. And if you have any questions, I'm going along, please stop and ask. This is just kind of a summary where we are with our notices of funding opportunities, right? On June, the one in greens are the ones that fall more on the federal highway area of responsibility. So we just, on June, the Reconnecting Communities pilot program is the one that I just talked about. And looks like the next one coming out will be the National Culvert Removal, Replacement, and Restoration Grant Program. And I'm sure you can tell by its title what the fund will be intended for. Just make people aware that we've created this DOT Navigator, this website where anybody who's interested in learning more about these federal programs and getting assistance on how to put the applications together, they can go to this site, and it's a one-stop shop, so where they can get all the assistance and information they need, because there's a lot of programs. This final rule, basically, apparently the fatality rate is 3 times greater during nighttime than it is during daytime. So we've come up with a rule to establish a retroreflectivity levels for longitudinal pavement markings on highways with speeds greater than 35 miles per hour. So I'm sure I don't have to tell the commissioners that retroreflectivity is measured by millicandelas per meter square per lux. I'm sure you guys all knew that already. And so the new standard, the new requirement, the minimum will be 50 millicandelas per meter square per lux. And we also recommend that for higher speed facilities, like 70 miles per hour greater, that the retroreflectivity be 100 millicandelas per meter square per lux. And I don't think I'll ever have to say those 3 words together again in my career. It also requires the state DOTs or the agencies to develop a method for maintaining the retroreflectivity levels on the pavement markings. It does allow 4 years to meet these requirements, and the states and federal funds can be used at 100% to fund this work. So it's actually something that was required by the bipartisan infrastructure law. So it's and again, it was published August 5th. I believe that UDOT already checking with our people that UDOT standards already meet this 50 minimum. So we're in good shape. I believe what they will need to do is just develop the method for maintaining it. So we're pretty good over here already. Greenhouse gas. We issued a notice of proposed rulemaking for greenhouse gas emissions. Basically, what this does is establish it requires states in consultation with their MPOs and other agencies to establish carbon dioxide targets that continue to decline as time goes on, and and also requires them to report out on those targets. And it's not the rule doesn't mandate the targets. It does allow the state to select those targets. So the notice of proposed rulemakings out there for comments, and we are holding a couple of webinars to provide more information on August 23rd and August 24th on this. So comments can be submitted. Did I put a date for when the comments? I don't think. Okay, there is time to provide those comments. You can check September. Okay. All right. So, but you can go to the actual NPR and look it up. Couple of just for your information, we did get the funds. These 3 projects, the Ephraim Road Safety and Economic Development Project in the city of Ephraim received a $4 million earmark last year, and so did the 3 Gate Trail in Caseville and the Industrial Road Improvement Project here in Cedar City, $3 million for those last 2. So those funds were just recently allocated, so they're available to be put on those projects. And also the Charles Hall Ferry received $200,000 and $200,690 out of the ferry boat program. And that's a ferry that is in Bullfrog. It takes you across Lake Powell. According to Monty, the water is so low right now that the ferry is not in operation. So, but the funds are available to continue to its operation. We did get, we've notified you that this is the anticipated, these are the fish that we'll be putting in the pond. So
You might need to retell that story.
I will. I will. Next time I will come prepared with my slides and everything to make it clear for everybody, for anybody who hasn't seen my fish story. But we have put, so these are the anticipated apportionments for next fiscal year. As you can see, the first two programs, the National Highway Performance Program and the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program, amount to about 80% of the funds. But then there's other ones there. The Protect Formula program that I mentioned has the 12.7 million, and the carbon reduction program 11.2 million. So for a total of 469 million. And I want to give some kudos out to you that I previously reported on our inactive obligation rates, and this is where we measure. But we consider a project inactive if it hasn't had any expenditure for a period of 12 months or more. So that just basically it's our way to measure that the money is not just sitting there idle, that it's been put on projects and being paid out to contractors and workers. So UDA continues to maintain a 0% inactive rate. That is the fourth continuous quarter where they've maintained at 0%. And, it just shows how well projects are managed here in the state. The projects just don't sit around waiting for things to happen. They go from planning to environmental to design to construction and final construction, without a gap. So it's reflected in this. And I'm not going to say where they are nationwide, but it's one of the best rates, lowest rates nationwide. It makes me look good. I can take credit when I have my performance evaluation, but I know who the real.
Did you tell the transportation secretary about this when he was here?
Yeah, I wore a T-shirt that said 0% inactive rate.
I don't think you would even know what this. A for the day.
And finally, we did have a single audit this year, and for the second consecutive year, we had a clean audit, and again, another reflection of the quality of work that being done here by UDOT. So thank you, we really appreciate that. And another one that I didn't get to put on here because it just happened last night. We have the normally this time of year we ask the states what other projects can you deliver if we give you some more money? It's called the August redistribution. And we gone through that, and we got about $41 million requests from UDOT, which is kind of average for what they received in the past. But let's see, Wednesday afternoon, they gather all the division administrators. We got a little bit more money. Can you check with your state, see if they can deliver more projects? But we need to know by Thursday in the evening. So they gave us about 10 hours. Anyway, so we meet and talked to Ivan, and I think I sent a phone call to Terry and contacted Lisa, and we got together and kind of brainstormed for a while. So around 8 o'clock last night, we finally decided what and how much and all of that. So I want to thank Terry, Lisa, I see Ben was involved, Ivan, Kim Robbins, and several other people in your central office. And our financial manager, Trevor Hart, is an amazing financial manager we have in our office. He works so well with the UDA financial people in working through this very complicated federal financial program. And so we hope to get maybe another 10% increase in our August redistribution due to all this hard work. So thank you all for all the time we put together to make that happen. So
we'll give you another T-shirt for that.
Another T-shirt. I'm ready. I need another one. And that's all I have for you this morning. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Well, if we haven't told you lately, Ivans, we love you.
We love you. Thank you very much.
Thank
It's good,
you for
good to
all
be
that you
loved.
do for us.
Yeah, and I did bring my bike. I was hoping to get some biking last night, but that rain certainly kept me from it. So next time, this is a beautiful trail to get here. I had no idea there was so much.
Right around campus pretty
Camp-
quickly.
Campus.
so.
Okay, I'll do it. As soon as I get out, I can ride in this suit. Okay.
We give you a rain check. How about that?
All right. Thank you
Give
very much.
Brigitte our best too, and speedy healing to her.
Yes.
Good. I know she's listening. And yep, will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. Next item on agenda number 6 is grant update, and here comes Professor Fun. I'm going to change your name now to Dr. G for grants.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. Ben Hewitt, UDOT Program Development Director. So I have a grant update today. So looking at our grant spreadsheet, there is some new information. I'll start at the top. The first grant is just a grant that's been on there for a while, the Accelerated Innovation Deployment Aid Grant. That one has been submitted, and that one typically sits there for a while before we hear. It's a rolling date type of grant. But the big news, I guess, for today in the world of grants, I don't know if it's been announced very widely yet, but I know yesterday on the website they announced the RAISE Grant Awards. So I've updated this. I've taken the liberty of updating the spreadsheet, and hopefully, if anything does change, we'll re-update it. But this is what's on the website. So Utah as a state had multiple grant submissions in this RAISE Grant program. UDOT had one, and there's a couple more on here that have some nexus with UDOT for different reasons. So the first one listed here, so UDOT did not get awarded our application for the US 189 University Avenue Viaduct replacement. The next grant that's listed here was a UTA project for the 56 West Side Express. That one was not awarded in that grant program, but High Valley Transit for their SR 224 bus rapid transit project was awarded. And I believe it was awarded at $25 million. So this one, it's got a couple different nexus with UDOT, one of which is funded in our TTIF. There's a portion of this that was approved through the commission, funded as a TTIF project, which will go nicely with this grant for complementary matching. And then also High Valley Transit is a subrecipient in our rural transit program.
And what was the reason for the other two being rejected?
We don't have any information yet. It's not, like I said, they haven't even done a wide release. Typically we do, what's the word I'm looking for? Debriefs with the entities and figure out some suggestions or reasoning or anything like that on those.
Ben, are every one of these grants submitted to U.S. Department of Transportation, or is there other entities that are involved?
Yeah, the different grant programs go different areas, but these are submitted through USD. Generally it's under the umbrella of USDOT. Interestingly enough, when they get awarded, it kind of depends on the type of project. Like, for example, this High Valley Transit, it will come through the Federal Transit Administration, FTA.
Right.
Whereas if we would have got it, it probably would have came through FHWA when it
Right,
comes to us.
Yeah, are there any, they're all submitted in Washington, D.C. Are there any regional offices that review these at all now? So
I am not sure. I don't know if I
Just curious.
No. Yeah.
All D.C.
Yeah, there was one other grant that's not on this list because it doesn't really have a nexus within the Transportation Commission or UDOT, but it was to the Utah Inland Port Authority. It was, I believe, like a $445,000 feasibility study for a business plan or something, market assessment for a logistics center. So there's information on their website on that one too. So Utah as a state had 2 total on this in the RAISE Grant program. So
thank you.
then I'll just keep going down the list. There is a couple, the next 2, did I go too far? Okay, the next 2 grants are in the, one more thing I just wanted to note with the RAISE Grant is it does give us an idea. The submission deadline on those was in April and awarded in August. So, I mean, in the past, we've seen anywhere between 3 and 9 months in the time frame for those awards. So it's interesting. I think this is probably the first big one in the new infrastructure bill. So it maybe gives us an idea of anticipated timeframes for when they get announced. So that's another bit of information that we have from this. So the next two are just on our radar because High Valley Transit and Park City Transit are sub-recipients in our rural transit program. These are low or no emission bus and bus facilities. So both of those entities submitted grants. So we'll keep these on there and report back if and when we hear about those. And then I've went through these other ones before. There's a group of National Scenic Byway Program grants that were submitted. And so those are that's a similar status where we've submitted them and we're waiting to hear. And then highlight the multimodal project discretionary grant program. This is it's a combination of projects that Cade showed in his presentation. The I-15 South Iron County Freight Mobility and Safety Project. So it includes the I-15 portion and the South Cedar interchange in this grant application. That is another one that was submitted back in May and waiting to hear on that one. And then a couple new updates from our last time. So I think last time we talked about the bridge investment program that was noticed just before the last meeting that we went through the update. So there was 3 different categories in this program: planning, large bridge, and I guess it's just regular bridge. So UDOT did submit a planning application for the I-84 Uinta Junction to Echo Junction feasibility study. So that was the first one that was due. And then, so that's listed here. And then we are in application development. The other 2 programs, the large bridge and regular bridge, that this is the one I believe I mentioned last time where they've stated that any state that submits eligible applications over the life of this grant program, the life of the bill, will either receive 1 large bridge or 2 regular bridge applications over the life. So the team talked about this, and because of the match differences and the types of projects, UDOT is pursuing the regular bridge. So this would be the first one that we are going after in that regular bridge category. So it's a grouping of 22 bridges on I-80 that meet the grant criteria. So that one is in application development, and the submission deadline is coming up in September.
So every state gets 3, even if we're the biggest state, have more bridges, and that's
They either get 1. So if you choose to go after a large bridge type project, you're guaranteed 1. Or if you choose to go out in the regular category, you would be guaranteed 2 over the life of the 5 years.
Delaware gets the same odds as
That's what it looks like in the guidance. Yep. And there's between large bridge and regular bridge, there's different funding thresholds or cost thresholds in those categories. I think 100 million is the minimum for a large bridge. So that one is in application development, and we're targeting submitting that one by the deadline in September. And then the last 2 things on there are still the placeholders for the legislated match money for the different grant, the wildlife, and then the railroad crossing. And so, I mean, Ivan Marrero did show that slide that shows the upcoming grants. So we're waiting for the correct grant programs that match up with these to utilize that set aside state match. Any other questions I can answer on the grant update?
Any other? Commissioner Van Tassel, any question from you or Commissioner Evans?
I have none.
No, and I have none either. Thanks. Clear presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Next item of agenda is number 7, UDOT scoreboard, and Lisa is going to be Carmen again, and then we will follow for Troy Peterson.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. Lisa Wilson, Deputy Director for Engineering and Operations. And yes, I'm Carmen again. She's good at being out of town for commission meetings. So for our project delivery update this month, You see, we're sitting at about 800 projects that we're actively working on currently, with 7 in the past due category. About half of those will advertise within the next month and help us meet our federal obligation. Our current performance is 93%, and this is this current state fiscal year. We're showing 14 projects advertised. In reality, since we met last, we've advertised 11. 3 of these will be posted for advertisement tomorrow, so that's why it shows up this way. The total project value of the ones we've advertised is a little over $27 million. On our advertising status, you can see right now we're in a little bit of a lull. Up further, there were 35 projects being prepared to advertise within the next 60 days. So you'll see this ramp up as a similar trend to what we've seen the last couple of years. In construction right now, we have 175 active contracts with almost 600 million left to pay out to our contractors for that work. And in July, we had about 93 million of contractor payments. It's still early in August, but we anticipate August being fairly similar to July. Right now, we're at 29 million. And on our engineers' estimates, you'll notice a lot of our agenda items, adjustments on projects that we're bringing to you today for your consideration are to add money to be able to advertise. Our teams are doing a really good job trying to stay with the current trend. It's difficult, but they're checking estimates right up to the last minute before we advertise, and it's reflected in this measure that the majority of our projects are still being able to be awarded. So that's the project update for today. Are there any questions?
Besides our website, where else do we advertise these? I'm just curious if nationwide competition is available, or do we put it in?
That's a good question. I mean, we used to always put them in the newspaper, so they're posted in advertisements like that online.
Online, yeah.
I don't really.
Do we keep track of how many of the bids are won by state-owned companies and how many by non-Utah companies? I mean, that's hard to say in today's,
I mean, we could mine that data for you if you're interested, but we don't generally keep track of it
Just curious.
that way. Yeah.
You got plenty of things to worry about. Don't worry about that. I'm just curious, it is.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Troy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Troy Peterson, Operations Director. Thanks, Mr. Chair, for the time today. As always, zero fatalities update. Not the most highlighted, I shouldn't say the most entertaining topic to talk about, just from the somberness of which we get to report. You'll notice here, I'm going to scroll down just a little bit here. Our fatality rate right now is showing 0.9, which has dropped a little bit from last year. Biggest contributor there is our VMT is obviously going up as we, we're seeing a lot more traffic, a lot more people out driving, so that numbers is counteracting that rate. So I'm gonna scroll down here real quick and show you what I mean here. We're showing right now we're sitting at 197 fatalities for the year. And you'll remember we have a target to reduce our fatalities by 2.5% for a 3-year average. And right now, to date, we should, if we were to be under our target, we should be less than 155, which is roughly, as we sit today, about 20. Is that 20-something percent higher than our target? Of those fatalities, I'll give you an update on our vulnerable users, which are bicyclists, pedestrians, and motorcyclists. They account for 80 of those 197, so roughly 40%. 35 of those are pedestrians, 11 bicyclists, and 34 motorcyclists.
Wow.
Yeah, rather large number there. Real quickly here, I'm just going to show that how it compares to This time last year, we were sitting at 193 fatalities. Today we're at 197. So we're actually higher. You remember last year was another big year for the total fatalities for our state. And I want to give you one more real quick, because we're getting about 3/4 of the way through our 100 deadliest days through the summer from Memorial Day to Labor Day. We're currently sitting at 76 fatalities for this year. And you can see how that compares over the last 10 years or so. So hopefully those will stay. We won't see fatalities moving forward, at least keep those on a much lower number. Last month, there was a question. Let me see if I can get to this now. There we go. Some questions on our, let's see if I can start this. Where is it? I can't see the screen. Apologize. Oh, thank you, Heather. Appreciate that. That's awesome.
Always.
Last year, I reported on a distracted driving study that we'd started to look at to see if we can get some idea of what's really going on in when it comes to distracted driving. And we did. This is our second year doing that. We have 33 locations. We go out and we set up cameras and collect some data to try and figure out what those distractions are that's going on to help us try to help make decisions. Those locations this last year we've had were Salt Lake County and Weber, Davis County. We had some 33 different locations. Like I said, we collected 5,000 different observations, and we break those down to about 9 different distraction types, and there's a list of them there. Everything from cell phones, texting, external distractions outside the car, people manipulating things within inside the car, whether it's radio, food, whatever. And there's the nine different categories they use to try to capture those and classify it. Uh-oh. I don't know what that's telling me. I'm going to say no. Okay. I think we got it. Okay, so this graph kind of breaks down those 9 categories and shows you last year in 2021 what the percentage of the distraction that applied there as compared to 2022. And you'll see as you look down this list, manipulating items in the vehicle was a lot higher in 2022 than it was in 2021. Same with external distractions. You'll see manipulating cell phone was down, as well as other occupants in the car.
Huh.
Those were some big ones that we saw some changes in there. Here's a kind of a breakdown of those distractions based on seconds. The average amount of distraction this year was 1.79 seconds. Last year it was 2.1. But one thing I would point out is when you look at the ones that are more than 4 seconds, those are typically people on their phones. So it's the average for distracted on a cell phone is more than 4 seconds. Total distractions over from last year to this year. In 2021, it was 15.7% of the observed distractions of the total number of observations were distracted. This year it was 17.2, so that number did go up. Like I mentioned, that was mostly people distracted with something outside the vehicle or manipulating something inside the vehicle. And we did see passengers were less of a distraction this last year as they were before. So we'll continue to collect data on this one and see how this starts to build numbers for us. I mean, it's our second year, seeing some changes there. We'll see how that, as we continue this effort, how those play out. That's all I really have for today. But I do always want to end with my 5 safe driving behaviors: staying buckled, drive alert, focused, calm, and sober. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy.
I have two questions. One, can we put those 5 items to music so that they're easy to remember? Two, is this type of survey being done across the nation, and are our numbers similar to what other states are experiencing?
This particular survey is not being done across the country. This is something we started here just to get a better idea of the actual distractions we get. I think across the country, most people use what they get on the crash report from witnesses saying that a person may or may not have been distracted. So what our law enforcement may be seeing, if they're able to report something like that, we're using this as more of a proactive to try and figure out what's going on everyday driving, not just in a crash that may have happened.
Thank you. Thank you, Troy.
Okay, thank you.
Don't drive stupid.
Next item on the agenda is item 8, consent agenda, followed by program development. I think Ivan Hardell will lead us in that.
Good morning. My name is Ivan Hartle. I'm Financial Programming Director for the department. Thank you, Heather. Our first item, item 8, is the consent agenda for the June 24th and July 14th commission meetings and the June 23rd staff meeting, the June 23rd Logan area tour, and the list of projects. The projects include an exhibit that have been either awarded, have been identified with budget amounts that can be recovered, or in the closeout process and have funding available to remove and reprogram. So shown here, included in the packet, the June 23rd meeting minutes, and I'm not meant to make you dizzy. I'm just going to scroll down through the meeting minutes for the staff update. The commission meeting on the 24th of June in Logan. It's a fun sound when I click the mouse. As well as the, let's see, maybe the July 14th commission meeting. Okay.
While you're scrolling, is this a good time to compliment Heather again on the most
Yes.
amazing minutes taken across the state of Utah?
It's always a good time to compliment Heather.
Yep.
My opinion.
Very true.
There we go. Our request today is a motion to approve the adjustments to the projects in the included table and approve the June 23rd, 2022 Commission Staff Update Meeting, the June 23 Commission Tour, the June 24, 2022 Utah Transportation Commission Meeting, and the 14th of July Special Commission Transportation Commission Meeting minutes as detailed.
So moved by Commissioner Evans.
Thank you.
By Commissioner Van Tassel.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Moving to agenda item 9A. Our first item is the SR30, SR23 to SR252 project. It's a funding addition. Let's see. I'm gonna get that sound all day, I think. The scope of the SR30, SR23 to SR252 will reconstruct and widen almost 7 miles of SR30 in Cache Valley. An updated project estimate using recent bids and contracts has been completed. This update shows an increase in project cost across most bid items as a result of the current bidding climate. This project is scheduled to advertise later this month. Shown here on our map, west of Logan. Here's an image of the roadway profile that they're working with. A request today is a motion to add funding to the SR 30, SR 23, to SR 252 project to the current STIP as detailed.
I'll make that motion. This is a much needed project and a great expansion on SR 30. This will make a big difference. Thank you.
I second that and the comments as well. It's much needed.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, clarification? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Item number 9A-1 is approved.
Thank you. Our next item, 9A2, is the US 89 Logan Brake Check Area Project, a funding request addition of $500,000. The US 89 Logan Brake Check and Intersection Improvement Project was bid out in March of this year. The project ended up only receiving one bid, and that bid was 190% of the engineer's estimate. The project will add to the safety of the existing brake check system by requiring large freight vehicles to come to a complete stop at the top of the hill and again prior to the truck arrestor system near the bottom. The project team has evaluated the project plans to reduce costs by making the project schedule more flexible to the contractor. The project team would like to add additional funds and rebid this project in September, with construction taking place in 2023.
Ivan, would you please explain the section about making it more flexible to the contractor for the public?
I can phone a friend for some specifics, but essentially we're trying to open up the construction window. I think Rob can come up and fill in some details for us.
Rob White, Region 1 Director. Yes, when the contractor has the flexibility to be able to build it on their schedule, a lot of times we get much better pricing than if we restrict the contractor to a certain time frame. And so that was just one of the things we looked at on this to be able to reduce the costs for our second bid on this particular project. The other thing is we're bidding it in the fall when a lot of contractors are working to fill up their schedule for next year. And so typically we get much better bids.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Rob, may I just ask, how often do we only get one bid on our projects these days?
I can't comment exactly on that, but typically that's fairly unusual, but not so unusual in our more rural areas that are away from our supply, our major concrete producers and asphalt producers. Sometimes we'll only get one or sometimes two. That's a challenge in our more rural areas.
Thank you.
Thanks. That's on the canyon.
Oh. I think I must have Cade's mouse. So located here on the map, this shows an example of the project map, the changes that will be made. All right, our request today is a motion to add funding to the US 89 Logan Canyon Brake Check and Intersection Improvement Project to the current STIP as detailed.
I'd like to make that motion and speak to it briefly if I could.
Please.
We've had, is it 2 accidents in the past year? This is a critical and important implementation that needs to take place as soon as possible. But the other thing, on a positive note, I've noted that I travel this area many times a week, and I've noticed that the Highway Patrol has been a better partner, I believe, this summer in pulling over trucks. And we haven't seen that happening. And so I'm encouraged that we're getting, we need that combination of the brake check, but also we need the participation of law enforcement in implementing the process. So I think this is definitely much needed. I hate to use the term miracle, but it's probably a miracle that no one has been injured in the community, given the large number of crowds where these trucks travel to right in the middle of Garden City. So I appreciate this addition and the rebidding, and there's just incredible support in the valley there, in the Bear Lake Valley, and appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second by Commissioner Evans.
Okay. Any other question? Go ahead.
I would just want to add to what Commissioner Menlove said. I actually got pulled over by the Highway Patrol there. So I know they're doing their job, and I appreciate very much Rob White keeping good track of that. It's been really an improvement, so thank you.
Well, when you go over 100, Lou, you know that you're a
You're in trouble.
My car can't get over 100, but I looked suspicious, I guess. And they were very gracious, and I explained my challenges as a driver. But anyway, thank you, Rob, for what's happening up in Region 1.
Well, thank you. With that comments, then all in favor of item 2, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Item number 9A-2 is approved. Thank you.
9A-3, this is the I-15 freeway ramps in Utah County project. The request is to add a little over $1 million to the project value. This project will preserve the pavement of the 17 ramps on I-15 in Utah County by placing a microsurface on them. The original estimate for this project included replacing the pavement striping and messages with paint similar to what was currently in place. There is a current project program to restripe I-15 in Utah County from milepost 249 to 279. The scope of that project is to replace the existing striping with enhanced striping that will provide better visibility and in inclement weather and poor lighting conditions. Region 3 proposes to add the enhanced striping to these 17 ramps in order to match the rest of the I-15 in Utah County. The cost of this safety improvement is $250,000. In addition to the change in scope, inflation also played a larger role in the project cost increases. Unit costs have changed since November of 2021 when the cost estimate was created. The major items of cost in escalation was microsurfacing, which is asphalt based. The result is an increase in the estimated cost of $800,000. The addition of the $1,050,000 is needed in order to advertise the project for construction. Located here on our map. Our request today is a motion to add funding to the I-15 freeway ramps in Utah County project to the current step as detailed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, please.
I would make that motion.
Thank
Fantastic.
you. There's a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did we lose Commissioner Evans? Okay, my vote is aye also. Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 9A-3 is approved.
Thank you. Item 9A-4 is a Pleasant Grove interchange area capacity improvements, a request of addition of $600,000.
The scope of the Pleasant Grove Interchange Area Capacity Improvement Project is to improve the capacity intersection of North Country Boulevard and Pleasant Grove Boulevard and I-15 access. The project area has seen increases in construction costs since the project cost estimate was developed. The major items of the increases were the precast boxes, asphalt, and fuel costs. The addition of $600,000 is needed in order to advertise the current project for construction.
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion. I'm a frequent user of that intersection and it's in big need of that. Thank you. And I'm doing this in the absence of Commissioner Evans on the line, it appears.
I think he's checking out from his campsite, so he has to excuse.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item number 9A-4 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, 9A-5, US 40 and SR 121 pavement preservation is a funding and scope addition. The amount is $1.6 million for the request. The US 40 and SR 121 pavement scope project scope was to preserve the pavement sections from US 40 from milepost 130 to 141 and SR 121 from milepost 0 to 1.6. As the project progressed, it was determined that the pavement conditions have deteriorated faster than projected and an upgraded treatment is required. A safety improvement item of lane leveling near milepost 140 was also included in the scope. Construction costs associated with the change in the treatments are estimated at $1.1 million. In addition to the change in application and scope, inflation has played a large role in the project cost increases. Unit prices have changed since November 2021 when the cost estimate was created. The major items of cost escalation were asphalt related. These cost increases were not fully anticipated. An additional $500,000 is needed to cover the cost escalation of construction. Located here on our map, east of Roosevelt and between Roosevelt and Vernal. Our request today is a motion to add funding to the US 40 and SR 121 pavement project preservation project to the current STIP as detailed.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Van Tassel moves for approval.
Thank you.
I second that.
Thank you for that too. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item number 8-5 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, 9A6, is the US 6 Crandall Canyon Culvert Project. It's a funding request of $2.4 million. The Crandall Canyon area experienced a wildfire in 2021 that resulted in flooding in the canyon during subsequent storm events. The flooding carries debris and clogs the existing culverts crossing under US 6 at Crandall Canyon. The flooding threatens to damage US 6 as well as it creates unsafe conditions on the roadway. The urgency of the project required the department to do a high-level estimate on the project and to be able to get into the area and determine the best available solution. From that process, we have a better understanding of the total cost and are requesting additional funds to advertise using the emergency process. Located here on our map, north of Helper. Some of the pictures that we used in the original project request. As well as the culvert under US 6.
Well, I think as I stated yesterday or sometime in the last meeting or two, some of these burn scars we're going to suffer with for another several years. So this is a great project.
Thank you. Our request today is a motion to add funding to the US 6 Crandall Canyon Culvert Project as detailed.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you for that. Any other questions, comments? Monty, do you have any update on this particular project?
Thank you, Monty Aldridge, Region 4 Director. Actually, I do have an update as of later today. I hope to get an update on some more analysis that is being performed currently to determine a lot of the flow information that'll help us with our sizing. And so we did the estimate, and we're very confident in where we are sitting on our estimate today after our former analysis. And so I'm hoping this next week we'll be able to start getting this prepared to go out to our emergency procurement process. But it's very much very needed project, and I appreciate the support with this today.
Thank you.
I would also mention that last night after the rain, Monty didn't come home and watch television. He was out looking at the damage.
Yes.
For the
Dedicated people of UDOT. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of this project, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 9A-6 is approved.
I guess the only question I'd have on that, Mr. Chairman, is this is work that under the new bill would be covered. Are we able to go back and recoup some of this, or is this just on our own?
Monty's coming to answer that question.
We still need to get deeper into the details of the PROTECT Act, or I should say the PROTECT funding. Because of the procurement methodology that we're using on this, I don't believe this will make it eligible for that funding. But I'm sure we have lots of other locations that will be able to go through a normal federal procurement process where we could utilize those funds. This specific one, because of the emergency nature and the process that we use for those procurements, I don't believe it will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Monty. Next item, 9A-7. This is the Statewide Transportation Solutions projects. This is a list of new projects that we discussed yesterday in the staff update. Included in the packet of materials, and I'm going to try to skip down and not do too far. It shows individual project details that is part of the project list that we're discussing today. So each project has this level of detail behind it on our fact sheets. So located here throughout the map, as we discussed, the focus was to use the economic regions to work through that project locations, the 6 economic regions of the state, to identify needs in the rural areas. Coming back up to our project list. US 40 and SR 248 interchange in Region 2. Region 3, we have the US 191 passing lane in milepost 280 to 282. In Region 4, I-15 South Iron County and Exit 57 environmental study that was discussed earlier today. Also Region 4, SR 132 Canyon eastbound passing lane. The Region 4, US 6 and US 191 Indian Canyon capacity improvements. And our last project, Raptor State Park to Mill Canyon northbound passing lane. So again, shown on the map. Our request today is a motion to approve the Statewide Transportation Solutions project list as detailed.
Chair, I'd like to make that motion and speak to it briefly.
Please.
Terry mentioned this yesterday, but I think the fact that we've been able to, I'm just really pleased that we're able to kind of catch up on some of these rural projects and that rural emphasis through emerging areas. And you look at this list and that's where the focus is. I just want to applaud and express appreciation for that.
Okay, thank you.
I second the motion. Very much agree. Yes.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments?
The only comment that I'd make, Mr. Chairman, is the fact that the more urban part of the state will appreciate these improvements on the weekends a lot more than the local.
Thank you for the comment.
That is so true.
So true.
So all in favor of this project, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Item 9A-7 is approved.
Thank you. Our next item, 9A-8, the Old Bridge Road over the Fremont River replacement. This is a new project funded from the Bridge Formula Program for $4 million. At the April 29th, 2022 Transportation Commission meeting, the commission approved the bridge list, a list of 90 bridges prioritized based on condition and load restrictions eligible for funding from the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act Bridge Formula Program. These structures located in on Old Bridge Road over the Fremont River north of Hanksville is one of the bridges on the approved Bridge Formula Program structure list. This project will replace the structure as part of the Bridge Formula Program. This structure is located off of the federal highway system and is currently in poor condition and is load restricted to 19 tons carrying capacity. Wayne County submitted a funding application through the Joint Highway Committee in December of 2021 for this structure. The project would not require a local match under the Bridge Formula Program, and Wayne County is in support of this project. So located here on the map, north of Hanksville. Some images of the structure. Our request today is a motion to approve Old Bridge Road over Fremont River replacement project as detailed.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second.
It's a motion and a second. Any questions?
Do we know when that bridge was built? Long time ago.
Cheryl may be online with us.
It just,
Yes, she is. She is. Cheryl, you have the phone. You have the microphone.
1951.
Older than me, so yeah, it needs to go.
that's older than me and I'm older than you.
Older and older.
No comment.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item number A-8 is approved.
9A-9 is also part of the Bridge Formula Program. I'm going to skip the first paragraph as it talks through this, what we just reviewed. All four of these structures are located off of the federal aid highway system and are currently in poor condition or load restricted to a 10-ton carrying capacity or less. Rich County submitted a funding application through the Joint Highway Committee in December of 2021 for structure 033016C, which is the Crawford Lane Bridge over the Bear River. This project would not require a local match under the Bridge Formula Program, and Rich County is in support of the project. So shown here on our map, there's three, and the fourth one on the bottom of the map. Images of the structures themselves, the Crawford Lane Bridge, the Hatch Lane Bridge,
This is the pictures speak 1,000 words.
Yes.
the Woodruff Randall Canyon Bridge, 6 miles south of Randall, and our last structure, the Home Ranch Road Bridge.
Wow.
Our request today is a motion to approve Rich County local bridge replacement projects as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that motion and speak to it.
Please do.
This is a red letter day for Rich County. These bridges, there are farmers and ranchers who've crossed over these for many years in disrepair, so this will be a great improvement. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would second that motion because look at Rhonda's smile.
Yes.
That's wood under there, right? We're
That
looking at a
is-
wooden bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, that is. And anyway, the pictures tell the story.
And for the record, whenever you're ready to replace that bridge, Terry wants that wood. She has told me twice yesterday.
And again, the weekend people will really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin. With that comments, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item number 9A-9 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. And if I can, one last comment. This is, we've talked about the Bridge Formula Program and how special that is, where in the past we have not been able to participate on these structures. And this has really allowed us to jump into a space that was really needed by so many.
Great program.
Our next item, 9A10, in June of last month, or in our last scheduled commission meeting, we put it that way, a list of state park access projects was brought forth. We discussed this in the workshop as well. From the Utah General Legislative Session, House Bill 409 included the following language for item 166. The Department of Transportation Investment Fund Capacity Program from General Fund Restricted Outdoor Adventure Infrastructure Restricted Account one-time money as scheduled programs for the Transportation Investment Fund and the Capacity Program of $16.2 million. The legislature intends that the Department of Transportation use the money appropriated under this item for paved pedestrian or paved non-motorized transportation facilities and access to state parks from state highways consistent with the purpose permitted under Title 51, Chapter 9, Part 9, the Outdoor Adventure Infrastructure Restricted Account enacted by this bill. The appropriation is non-lapsing. From the 2022 General Legislative Session, House Bill 3, it included the following language on item 166. To transportation, the Transportation Investment Fund Capacity Program of the $16.2 million provided by the Recreation Infrastructure Amendments. The legislature intends $10 million to be used for paved pedestrian or paved non-motorized transportation projects contingent on the political subdivision in which the project is located, contributing equal to or greater than 20% of the costs for construction, reconstruction, or renovation of the paved pedestrian or paved non-motorized transportation project. The remaining $6.2 million of funding is proposed to be used on the following project list. The department has coordinated with the Utah Division of State Parks and determined the following list. The first three projects were presented and approved in the Transportation Commission meeting on June 24th, 2022. The final project proposed to be funded is the Raptor State Park and US 191 intersection. The proposed project value is just under $2.7 million. The State Park Access Program will fund 1.7, and the balance would come from the Utah Division of State Parks. So the local funds will be added to this project with a total project value of $2,564,255. Included in our packet is a letter of commitment from the Division of Facilities Construction and Management, the Department of Government Operations Commitment Letter. Our request today is a motion to approve the Raptor State Park and US 191 intersection project as detailed.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion. Enjoyed the presentation yesterday.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comment?
This just puts all the pieces together for that part, right?
All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Item number A-10 is approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Attached was the letter from Matt Boyer, the Assistant Director. 9A-11 is the Saratoga Springs Crossroads Boulevard Lehigh Main Street. It's a funding addition of $1.2 million of local government funds. This project widens former SR 73 Crossroads Boulevard from 2 or 3 lanes to 5 lanes from Commerce Drive on the west to 2300 West on the east. It replaces the bridge over the Jordan River and expands the bridge to 4 lanes. It also adds a trail connection from Commerce Drive to the Jordan River Trail. Lehigh and Saratoga Springs have nearly completed the project. Due to construction inflation, the project team made a request to the Mountain Land Association of Governments, or MAG, for 10% to be added to the project value. The addition of the funds will allow the construction to be completed within budget. The Mountain Land Association of Governments Technical Advisory Committee recommended approval of the addition of these funds on their May 23rd, 2022 meeting, and the Regional Planning Committee approved it on June 2nd, 2022. Located here on our map, Crossroads Boulevard, and reference the bridge over the Jordan River that we discussed. This item is information only for the commission. No action is requested.
Thank you.
Next item, 9A12, is a project combination, also an information only item. Our first project on our list was the item we just reviewed for the State Park Access Project. The next one is the US 191 Raptor State Park to Mill Canyon northbound passing lanes. That was discussed in the Statewide Transportation Solutions Program. And then the final is the Mill Canyon to Klondike Bluff southbound passing lane that was previously approved in the workshop, the 2022 workshop. The above table shows the three project combinations. These individual projects have previously been presented to the commission. Project combinations are done to provide efficiencies in project delivery. This item has a map on it that shows the interaction of these three projects shown here. And again, this item is information only for the commission.
And you could ask a question if you have, please.
Good.
You keep a darn good job of all these projects out there. The general public has no idea how much work you put into this, so thank you.
Our next item, 9A13, was also discussed in the FHWA report. We have two projects that we're presenting to the commission. The first one is the Ephraim Road Safety and Economic Development Project. The earmark on this was funded at $4 million with a local match of $290,000, with the total project value just under $4.3 million. The next item is the Industrial Road Improvement Project. It's also a new project with a $3 million earmark with a $217,000 match with just over a $3.2 million project value.
We saw that yesterday.
It was originally shown in the commission meeting of March 25th of 2022. I believe we were in Washington City at the time.
Right.
These projects are USDOT and federal congressional approved projects with applications from local government entities. UDOT will be involved in these projects in a similar role as projects funded through our sub-allocated funds. The department will coordinate local government agreements and participate to ensure federal compliance. Ephraim and Cedar City are ready to move forward with their project.
I just think it's thrilling that these two smaller communities will be able to earn funds through that grant program.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they appreciate your help getting through it all.
Yes.
Right.
This was the original notification that we received in the commission meeting showing the three projects. And again, we saw them earlier in today's meeting. The 3 gate project in MIDA is still under review. This item was, again, information only for the commission.
Hypothetical question, Ivan. Just in case the bids come above the engineer estimate on these projects, who's responsible for the shortfall?
It would be the initial review is that these are local government funded projects. And so the local governments and the entities there would be responsible for that.
Okay.
If UDOT was able to participate because it could be on a state road, I'm sure that we're a entity that loves to participate, as Commissioner Law said earlier today. So we would participate where we can, but some of these where they're off system, we could not participate.
Thank you.
I'm speaking for Monty because it would come out of their Region 4 budget, so. Our next item is the Mountain Land Association of Governments Technical Assistance to Governments Program. This is an information-only item. It's funded at $120,000 out of our statewide transportation solutions program. Mountain Land Association of Governments has requested financial support from the department for the MAG Land Use Grant Program. The objective of the program is to provide funding for communities to examine connections between transportation and land use, then to plan for and implement land use concepts that foster a more efficient and multimodal transportation system. The program seeks to increase quality of life through improving air quality, enhancing mobility, and improving economic opportunities. UDOT has previously contributed to Salt Lake and Ogden-Layton areas within WFRC in a similar manner. As this is a $120,000 project, this is information only. The project has been approved by the Deputy Director Authority given in the Utah Transportation Commission Policy 01-01. Any questions on this one? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next item, 9B, is the Recreational Trails Program. The Federal Recreational Trails Program was authorized by Congress in 1991 as part of the Intermodal Surface Transportation Efficiency Act of 1991. This act established the Recreational Trails Program, or RTP funding, and the Federal Recreational Trails Trust Fund. RTP grants are available for non-motorized and motorized trail projects. This program was continued through current authorization. The programs are selected and administered through the Utah State Parks and Recreation Division. Funds may be used to provide and maintain recreational trails for motorized and non-motorized recreational trail uses, including trail side and trailhead facilities. It includes provisions to facilitate access for people with disabilities as well. For the 2023 program, Utah has 17 projects totaling $1.4 million, almost $1.5 million in federal aid funds, and just short of $4 million of sponsor matching funds for a total $5,451,000 project value. The contact information for the Recreational Trails Program is Rachel Toker at the Department of Natural Resources and Tara McKee at the Governor's Office of Business Development. This program was brought to the Commission in June for review. There's some pictures of past projects that were completed with these funds. Included in our packet of materials shows the entire list of the 19 applications that were received and the 2 projects that were not able to be funded through the program. And shown here with the 2 projects that unfortunately were not able to be funded, not recommended for funding. Our request today is the approval to add the Recreational Trails Program to the STIP as detailed.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into this. I just want to appreciate all of the partners who participate to bring this forward to benefit the process.
Yeah. I don't think there's a Governor's Office of Business Development. It's probably Economic Opportunity or something else.
Economic Opportunity now.
Right. They changed those names around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is great, making these trails accessible for persons with disabilities.
Yep.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Yep.
All in favor of this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number B is approved. Thank you.
Item 9C is the release of the federal the release of the 2023 to 2028 draft statewide transportation improvement program, or the STIP, to federal highways and federal transit for review and approval. The draft 2023 to 2028 statewide transportation improvement program has been prepared and summarized to reflect guidance and suggestions resulting from region priorities and the April commission workshop. At the June commission meeting, approval was given to publish the draft STIP. Notice was given in local newspapers with information regarding to whom and how to comment. The draft STIP was also open for review and public comment from June 25th through July 30th on the UDOT website. This website also contains the electronic form for comment submittals. I think as a note on this as well, the MPOs and UDOT coordinated for the release of the draft STIP for public comment. And while there is a formal public comment period open and closed, we receive public comments throughout the entire year. We never closed the STIP for comment to be received. Comments were received regarding the STIP by the department and the MPOs. Included in the draft, or included in the packet of materials, is the fiscal year 2023 to 2028 STIP by region on the UDOT website, and the draft 2023-2028 STIP by county also on the website, and as well as the public comments received. So before I present the motion, we have included in this packet the list of the public comments that were received, but I'm going to take the opportunity to stop sharing and ask Eileen, who has reviewed the materials, give us a summary of the comments received.
All right, thank you, Ivan. And as he indicated, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the comments received, as well as give you a little context around our public process, both before and after the STIP, as just another step in our program development and project delivery here at UDOT. So approximately 90 comments were received on the State Transportation Improvement Program, or STIP. You, as the commission, approved that draft plan in June to be available for public comment. And as Ivan said, that comment period was highlighted on UDOT's homepage. And then each Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, conducted public outreach to receive comments as well. UDOT and the MPOs accepted comments in multiple formats, including an interactive map, an online comment form. We received comments by email, as well as from public open houses. And by way of information, the TIP, or Transportation Improvement Program, from each MPO is submitted to FHWA and FTA as part of the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program, or STIP. Now, the STIP is based on the Unified Long-Range Transportation Plan, which also has a public process. The long-range plan process provides opportunities to engage with transportation planning during a phase that can influence project definition. UDOT and the MPOs gather public input early in the long-range plan process, considering that public input alongside other technical data and analysis in the plan development. Like the STIP, the long-range plan is put out in draft form for public review and comment before being finalized. And the major capacity projects funded in the STIP must be in phase 1 of the long-range plan. Now, there is also additional opportunity for public participation during project development after these projects are funded through the STIP process. Members of the public can comment on projects and engage with UDOT's region offices during project development, construction, and ongoing maintenance and operations. Online capabilities have made commenting more accessible to some populations. We are hearing from people who have never attended a public meeting, but they are able to participate from a phone or computer using online tools. And in our experience at UDOT, we find that people are interested in engaging in the project development process, and they provide meaningful input to projects that affect their lives. The comments on the STIP this year came from along the Wasatch Front. The Wasatch Front Regional Council, or WFRC, reports nearly 4,500 views of social media posts promoting the TIP public comment period, with more than 250 engagements with those posts, such as likes, shares, and clicks on links. The comments submitted to WFRC can be summarized with 5 key themes. 1, support for separated bicycle facilities, and requests for more protected bike lanes. 2, requests for connected pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, especially at street crossings. 3, requests for more transit service and improvements to existing transit service, including front runner, tracks, and bus service. 4, requests for more funding to be spent on transit capacity instead of roadway widening or new construction. And 5, operational and safety improvements at specific locations. As Ivan indicated, the comments in their entirety will be attached to the meeting minutes for your reference. So that's my comment summary and a little bit of background and context for you. Are there any questions about those public comments before we move on?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go
I
ahead.
have no questions about the comments, but I do want to thank you, Eileen, for the great summary that you've provided of the process that we go through and the various opportunities that the public has to participate in this process along our very, very lengthy process. This is the most significant thing to do, right? It's the culmination of a year's worth of work. Right. Yay for our team.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen.
You're very welcome.
We certainly have had a bunch of projects that public comments have been made on, and it's good that we were able to be responsive and take that into account. As we say, they're all citizens, they're all taxpayers, they're all voters, and this is a democracy. So thank you for doing that. And with several other projects coming up in the near future, even more important to ensure that we've had transparency with the public we're serving.
Our request today is a motion to approve releasing the draft fiscal year 2023 to 2028 STIP to federal highways and federal transit for review and approval.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. The motion and second. Any other questions from Ivan or from Eileen? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Item number 9C is approved. Thank you.
That's good.
Again, it included in the packet of materials is a list of all the comments received. One comment of note, the comments received, I think it's worth the recognition for WFRC, the Wasatch Front Regional Council. They were an excellent partner in meeting, hosting the open houses and collecting the public comments. So thank you to Wayne Benyon and Ben Withrich at Wasatch Front and their efforts. And that is it for me today. Thank you.
Ivan. Good job.
Thank you, Ivan.
Thanks.
Item number 10 in your agenda is corridor preservation, and Charles Stormont is going to lead us in that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
Do you know where I find the?
What is it? Heather?
Oh, there. Thank you. We couldn't do it without Heather's help, so thank you for getting us here. We have 2 months worth of fund balance information to go through since we didn't have our regularly scheduled meeting in July. We had a balance forward at the end of May of just over 53.1 million, a good healthy rental tax revenue of 730,000. Some of our property management revenue did not get reported until the following month, so that number is a little lower than we're accustomed to, but conveniently the related expenses were also a little lower because they didn't show up until next month. We had total revenue of just under $800,000 and expenses of just under $20,000. I think one of the more exciting. Is there a better way to scroll? We've had several parcels close. You're gonna let me have the mouse back. Thank you. In May, we had, oh, I apologize.
You can blame Kate for that. He touches everything and just ruins it.
Kate has always been very helpful to me until this moment with the mouse. We've had 3 acquisitions close in May, totaling over 8.4 million. These were significant acquisitions at a variety of different locations across the state. So in May, our fund balance after those closings was just over 45.5 million. We have just over 14.2 million funds obligated, leaving a fund balance of just under 31.3 million. The item we'll discuss in a moment is accounted for here, but I'm going to scroll down to the following month to make sure we have the full view of the current fund balance. So with those closing, the balance forward moved down significantly. That's in our work, that's good news. That means we're doing our job of preserving the corridor. Rental revenue of 633,000. Total revenue of just under 760,000. Property management expenses. This fund balancing between the fund and where the treasurer cuts the checks. We had a big makeup at the end of June. That's customary as the fiscal year closes out. So the expenses show as $30,000. They were a little bit higher than that, but we also realized we found more change in the couch cushions than we were expecting. And we had 2 additional parcels close in June, a total of just over 1.5 million. We were so close to $10 million worth of closings over the 2 months. We were 9.93 million. I have to commend Diana Lecca, who does the bulk of this work and has been working very hard to get these acquisitions closed. Fund balance as of the end of June was just over 44.7 million. We now have just over 12.7 million obligated but not yet dispersed. Would it be helpful to get updates on these parcels? Do you think we're going to keep moving? I'm getting some head shakes. Fund balance of just over 32 million. We have one request today that if it were approved would obligate another 145,000, leaving a total balance of just over 31.875 million in the fund. Any questions?
Commissioner Menlove and I serve on that committee, and they do an awesome job. And Diane, thank you. Every one of this represents a lot of surveys, a lot of appraisals, a lot of approvals, a lot of hand-holding. So thank you.
And it's very detailed work, and Charles and his team are excellent. They do a marvelous job, and the presentations and committee meetings are succinct and informative, and it's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, those couch cushions, though. I didn't know about the couch cushions. Everything else is working really well. Yes.
They drop more into their couch cushions than I do at my house, but this is our new fund tracking just to help you visualize the revenue that we see. You can see we seem to have recovered from COVID travel impacts, which is from a fund balance perspective is encouraging. I still find, I believe it was April, it just stands out. We had that 1 month of over $1 million of revenue. We do seem to have leveled off back to what we are more accustomed to seeing, but it's encouraging to be back at that point. Moving then to item 10A on the agenda. This will feel familiar to some of you. This is a second attempt at a relocation of a sign along SR 109 or Gentile Street in Layton. There is a bridge over I-15, and I'll scroll down to the map because it tells the story well. We widened SR 109 several years back, which put the sign owned by the Saunders Sign Company right adjacent to our right-of-way. And there's anticipated, it's in phase 2, so 7-10 years out is sort of the best estimate of where the next widening might occur in this area. There has been some activity on these parcels next door to the sign. This aerial is dated. There's now a large medical dental office building in this kind of under this proposed sign placement call out. With the development that has occurred, there's a little more certainty in the sign being able to move and where it can move. We had previously approved some funding through this body to attempt a sign relocation. We were not able to get it carried out just because of the uncertainty surrounding the development. The sign company was motivated. The landowner who owns the lease on the sign was not. Now that the development has occurred, it seems much more likely to go forward. We'll move it back out of the way of the future alignment at an expense expected not to exceed $145,000. Normally during a project, we would be obligated to pay those relocation costs. And so this is in line with what we would have to do for the project. And billboard relocations are challenging because of the regulations and laws that surround the placement of outdoor advertising under the Highway Beautification Act, as well as related state code. So this is a good opportunity to save some significant work for a project in the future. Our request of the commission would be approval to facilitate the sign removal and reimburse the sign owner costs up to $145,000 to move the sign out of the future alignment of our project.
I'll make that motion.
Happy to second that motion. We know a little bit about this. This is one of our favorite sign placement issues.
Happy to have that resolved.
We believe they are motivated and convinced this will move forward this time.
Sorry,
So there's a motion and a second to approve.
my apology. Okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve this project. Any questions, concerns? It's a straightforward item. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 10A is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Charles.
Thanks, Charles.
Item number 11, we have administration rule review, and Lyle McMullen is going to be the one leading us to that discussion.
Lyle's so good at making all this complex stuff look simple.
Thank you. Unfortunately, today, as I was practicing earlier, I was only able to get it down to about a half an hour.
Keep practicing. If that's the case, I've got to leave.
That is unfortunate.
All right. So back in 2019, the legislature passed a bill codifying a process called the unsolicited proposal process, whereby a private entity or developer can propose a project to the department, and then we go through a process to determine whether or not it merits being turned into a project and being advertised as such. And so because we had never done it before, we were asked to put together a rule for how we would govern that process. And we did so in 2019. In that time, we've now received 2.5 proposals, and we've learned a couple lessons. And so that's why we're back before the normal 5-year review period, because we want to put these lessons we've learned in place so that it will facilitate an easier process on the part of the proposer and an easier process on the part of UDOT. And so these updates are basically formatting and typographical optimization of timelines. We've found that the process takes, we've broken it down into 3 phases, and each of them we gave ourselves 90 days to complete, and we don't need that much time on the first phase. So we are going to condense that or compress that time period a little bit. The next piece is clarifying the fee structure of how and when the fee may be used. Any unsolicited proposal is also accompanied by a $20,000 check to defray the costs and expense of processing the proposal. And one of the things that we found was that the way that we had worded it, we're not allowed to cash the check until we've already done some work, and we thought we could deal with that by just holding it, but we found that finance has a law that they must comply with, that they can't hold on to a check, they have to immediately cash it. So we have these two competing processes that we want to harmonize, and this will allow us to go ahead and cash the check and then start to use it immediately. And then the last piece, there were some parts in our screening process where we have some questions that we go through that didn't, as we started moving it through the process, we identified that there are some industry practices that are better aligned if we were to change the language. And so that's what we've done to try to make it more streamlined and more in line with what happens in the industry. And then the last piece, there is another commission rule about the crossing of sovereign lake beds, aka the Utah Lake. And over the period of the last 15 years, from time to time, you will have somebody that comes and talks to you about that. And that is essentially an unsolicited proposal. That will be, unless or until it becomes a real project via MAG and the like, it's likely to become an unsolicited proposal, at least according to the law and according to the rule that's on the books today. And what we'd like to do is roll those together. And if or when a proposal comes to create a crossing over a sovereign lake bed, we would like to use the process that we have now set up, which is the unsolicited proposal process. So we've got those two harmonized as well, so that we don't have to have two separate processes for what is essentially the same process. And this is a review, it's not a commission rule. So next month I will be coming to you with the sovereign lake bed rule for your review, and then the following month your approval.
This is really interesting to me, is involved in that industry a bit. Excuse me, I was just going to say, are we the only agency that reviews unsolicited proposals like this for infrastructure, Lyle? Or, I mean, do they make this to UTA? Do they make it to others? I'm just curious. We ought to have some consistency.
My understanding is, and this is new, at least to us, I'm not familiar with, and it's through the procurement code. And so,
right.
And which applies to many agencies. And so the fact
Yeah.
that it was new
Right.
to the procurement code indicates to me that it's a unique proposition.
Well, I've had people come to me and say, hey, we want to look at better gasoline engines for the state fleet or whatever it is, better seatbelts for. That just seems like a broad area that if we're having one ruling, we ought to be consistent across the state. I don't know. What, may I just ask, what were the two, I presume they were not confidential, the two unsolicited proposals we got? I'm just curious as to.
One of them has to do with the top priority on the STIP, which is managed motorways. Long range plan, I'm sorry. Number one priority on the long range plan, which is managed motorways. And
Oh, like a toll road, you say?
It's not happening anywhere in the United States. The one place that it is happening is in Australia right now, and that's where all of the on-ramps and off-ramps and system-to-system connections are connected and managed in a way that they all synchronize to increase throughput and and make travel times more efficient. And so we're going through that piece, and it's been very educational and time consuming.
Yeah, I imagine.
And it involved also the expert team that we've put together actually went to Colorado, where they just finished a pilot of the Australian implementation a couple weeks ago. And we're bringing that back to understand how it fits and matches or doesn't match with the proposal that's before us. The other proposal was a proposal for connected and autonomous vehicles to start using some of our travel lanes in southern Utah on the interstate. And it was retracted by the proposer. And I just got an email yesterday saying that they would like to, they believe that they've refined the proposal and would like to try again.
I could just see with our EV charging stations, with our broadband, there's a lot of things that with a public-private partnership, it might make sense. And I do know, having been involved in infrastructure for a long, long time, that we have 50 states and 50 sets of rules. Australia has one country and one set of rules. And so some kind of consistency, at least within our state, ought to be a helpful beginning to attract these, if we're really serious about attracting outside investment money. So, well, thanks for the hard work. And, you know, we're not there yet, I don't think, given what I know about the 3P project process here in the state so far. So.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is safety regulation for tow truck operations, and Troy Peterson is on his way.
Hello again, Troy Peterson, Operations Director. I get the opportunity, Chad Shepik, our motor carrier division director, was sad that he was unable to make it today, had to go to Michigan for another meeting. So I get the opportunity to update you on this rule change that we've got for, what was it called? Tow truck driving, something or other. I apologize, I don't know all the details on this one, the naming of it anyways. Use the mouse, okay. My turn. Where is it? Okay. Oh, wow. Hold on one second while I get down to it. Now I know what Charles was talking about. I think we're
Yeah, I
almost
think
there.
we're in the Lyle's information.
Am I close? Oh, there we go.
You got it.
I'm closer. Okay. Yep, there we go. Okay. So the motor carrier rule number 909-19. There's two updates we have on this particular rule that we're providing information on. The first is we got in the rule. There's an opportunity for the tow truck driving industry to charge a surcharge on fuel when gas prices exceed $3.25, and that was about a 5% surcharge they could do for every 25 cents above that. With the gas prices where they're at, the collection of that surcharge was a lot higher than what we have historically seen. And a lot of complaints were coming in from the public from their non-consent tows about the amount of that surcharge that tow companies are allowed to charge. Chad took that opportunity to meet with Tow Company Association as well as tow company personnel to talk about that particular issue. They come back with a recommendation to lower that from 5% to 3, and that's what essentially we're asking for here, is to approve the rule, or not asking for approval, but letting you guys know that we're going to lower that, changed from 5 to 3% for that surcharge they're allowed to add on while gas prices are up above $3.25. And the second portion of this rule that will be updated is in the legislative session this last year, there was a change that came through to allow tow truck companies to charge a fee for after hours collection of a fee. So if someone needed to pick up a vehicle after hours, that would cover the cost of having to send someone in to help somebody who's picking up a vehicle or getting something or getting out of their yard. So that both of these situations went through the motor carrier advisory board as well as with the tow company, and everyone was in agreement with the direction we're heading forward here. This was just just an update of where we're at with that rule. Any questions on that rule? I know it's
No,
something we
as-
don't deal with all the time when it comes to.
As long as you understand it and the rest of the people, we're okay with it.
We have people that understand it very well. Like I mentioned, Chad and his team are wonderful at administering this program for us. So
Thank you, Troy.
thank you.
The last item on the agenda is item number 12, informational items. And in that section, I would like to ask Monty if would like to have any announcements in this department.
Can I vote no again before he gets started?
Well, let's see what he has to say first.
Well, the announcement I have is one that I don't look forward to making. But I do want to make a thank you for the opportunity to do this and to thank Cade Roberts for his service to the department. Cade has found another opportunity in his life that he's chosen to pursue, and he'll be departing us next week. I did offer, I know Cade spent some time in a couple of years in the Red River country of Oklahoma and Texas and developed an affinity for brisket. And I happen to be pretty good at smoking brisket. So I offered to smoke a brisket one per month for him at least and see if that would fill the gap. But unfortunately, I didn't quite do it. But anyway, Cade came back. You all have had the ability to enjoy his skill in presenting and his dynamic and engaging personality. If you go anywhere with Cade, he knows everybody. It's just unbelievable because he's got such an engaging personality. But he's been back with us since April of 2020, and that's too short. But I just want to tell Cade, thank you for your service. You are absolutely going to be missed.
Now you can make that motion, Don.
I vote no. Or say boo, however you want to do it.
All in favor, say aye.
Can I just say thank you? It's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've enjoyed all this and I enjoy you guys very much. So I hope that I get to see you a lot still, but on a different level. So thank you.
Just
Thank you for
remember,
everything.
Kate, 25 years minimum was for retirement.
I'm going to get it from you. I know after, and I know I have to see you a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. And the items, of course, will be the commission committee report. So I will start with the Commissioner Love, please.
Thank you. You've heard the good news from the acquisitions group. Charles discussed that, and that committee meeting is going well. The process is working well. The Cache Metropolitan Planning Organization has been meeting, and they are very excited. They are energized by, they have a new leader, Jeff, and he's done a great job bringing everyone together, and they're very excited about projects and talking about moving forward. So those, they'll be coming with some proposals, I think, to do some shifting of funding. And so I'm really pleased to be a part of that and those discussions. So thanks.
Go ahead, Lou.
Echo Commissioner Menlove, the work with Charles and Diane and the group, and so good to be here in Cedar City. Thank you, Donna, again, for this wonderful tour. Time together.
Thank you. Donna, you have any?
I have no.
I know the Commissioner Van Tassel had to leave because he has other commitments. I had also opportunity to attend the DTEC meeting. In that we had a statewide transportation performance that was discussed and endorsed. And I had the opportunity and privilege to introduce Monty as our new director for Region 4. So they're so happy to work with him. And we also had the local and federal government reports for the different issues of the air quality and the Northern Corridor and some surface transportation system in St. George, including possible interchange over 700 South, which we have discussed. And of course, under the Community Impact Board, CIB, we had 8 projects, and being the fire season, every one of them was fire truck purchases and fire stations, either new or stations, which is important to all of us in the state, in light of all the fires that we have had. Next meeting of the commission is September 16, Summit County. Please mark your calendars for that. I would like to also again express my love and appreciation for UDOT family, all you do on behalf of the commission. You're wonderful. You're lifesavers. And I've talked to several communities around the states. And when I travel, UDOT is still number one in their books, not only ours, in their books. They look for guidance always from the UDOT leadership. And whenever they travel, I had an opportunity to talk to Chris Hall yesterday. I asked him when he was in Washington, D.C. as internship for AASHTO, what was his experience? It's just unbelievable that, yes, the leadership of UDOT travels and they're always in the mix of the other states. They know what's going on in the UDOT. But as person for myself, he said, new to that setting, every time I introduce myself, I said from UDOT, oh, everybody gravitated toward me. So tell us what you do, how you do it, how do you manage? To that, it was just impressive to see and hear from somebody like Chris Hart. So thank you, UDOT. Thank you, UDOT family, for all you do. Our prayers, our love and appreciation always with you and your family. It is a hard job. When I travel with my wife through the state and I see all the orange barrels, I just like my heart goes. Sometimes they mention that 110 degree in the state freeways. To them, I'm pretty sure it's 120. So please, for the public, if you hear my voice, be courteous. Slow down in the work zone. If it says 60, go 50. If it is 50, go 40. It takes only 3 seconds, the difference of the travel you're going to make to destination. Please help our UDOT family and protect them. They're doing your job and your safety of your family. With that, I would like to have another motion to adjourn this meeting, please.
So moved.
Not debatable. Thank you all. And thank you again for the Cedar City, Donna, President Benson, and all that have really made this possible for us.
Nice